It is Lopez Radio, episode 366. 366 times we've come to this well of not so much knowledge, but it's been fun every single time. And you can always follow me at Lopez Radio on all social media. You can also check out the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Lopez Radio every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday. For now, we'll see how that changes in the very, very near future. Joining me today is a gentleman who has been, we've been meaning to get him on for a while now. I've known him for a good long while now. And we actually got the privilege of hanging out with one another in Boston last year, just before the world shut down. It's my buddy Chris, aka TechGuru 808. That's on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. TechGuru 808. I'll put the link in the description of the podcast as well. Tech, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good. I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing awesome, man. It's good to finally have you on.
Yeah, man. I'm like looking at this. I'm like, dude, I need to get into a podcast. I'm like, you know what? I got to hit up my boy Lopez, my brother.
My brother, dude. It's been I can't believe it's been just over a year, like, since we were hanging out in Boston. I was like, the last time we all hung out and, you know, had beers and talked a lot of really good shit, like, I was like, all right, well, you know, maybe the world's shutting down for a little while, but I'm gonna see everybody soon. And it's like, it's been over a year at this point, which is nuts to me.
Like, you know, month after month after month. I'm like, I just need to get out of this house. I need to get out of this place. I need to see friends. And like, no, you can't. I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah, you can't, like, not yet anyway. Like, we're working toward that place, but like, I was just thinking about the other day, because you had popped into my Twitch channel, or maybe I'd popped into yours. I think I'd just come to yours or something like that, and I was just thinking in my head, I was like, man, it feels like just the other day, but like, it just has been just a little while since we actually had a chance to even try to see one another or try to see any of our internet friends. And that's just been like, it's been a real adjustment, because usually you've got all the time you spend, you know, streaming and working and stuff throughout the year. You've got those few times a year that are punctuated with, like, going to a convention or going somewhere to where you can meet up with people that, you know, that you hang out with online all the time. And it's been odd, because I haven't been streaming as long as you. I think you just celebrated your 6-year anniversary streaming, right?
It will be 6 years this weekend.
Wow, 6 years this weekend. So I've only been going at it for just over 3, and it's insane how used to, you know, being able to meet up with everyone at least once or twice a year you get. Um, I'm hoping, you know, I probably won't return to the convention scene until probably like 2022 maybe. But I'm really hoping that gets to right itself, because I think it's affected a lot of people over the past year, honestly.
I mean, you look at like, you know, conventions are saying, hey, we're gonna do it. You know, we're gonna put, like, you know, at PAX East, they said they were gonna have their convention this year, and then they were like, you know, with COVID restrictions and guidelines, we decided to, you know, not do it, which is smart. They should be thinking about doing that, and they should be doing more online things like they have been doing. Like they did what last year with GlitchCon, which is technically TwitchCon but virtual, which is a good thing. But at the same time, like, I really just want to see my friends. Like, it's so much different going to someone's stream and talking to them while they're, you know, while they're online, than, you know, seeing them, you know, face to face, you know, having a beer, getting plastered, and not remembering the next day. So
It really is different, because the last time I went to TwitchCon, so I went to the last 2 TwitchCons that happened. Like, the last one got canceled, but the 2 before that, and it became like, the first one was really fun, because I was like, wow, I haven't been to one of these before. I didn't know what to expect, and then you kind of got the feel for it. The second one, I was like, man, it's like, this has all my fun happens outside of the convention. It is just getting to see people way more than it is to go to the convention, because the convention itself it's great. You get to see what's coming up. Like, what do I get to play this coming year or next year or something like that. But yeah, it really is about making those connections and getting to just put, I mean, you get to see faces anyway, so you don't really have to put names to faces, but it's just something about, like, that energy of being right across the table from someone and being able to, I do it with podcasts too. Like it's so different to do a podcast virtually than it is to have you sitting at my table, and being able to feed off of each other's energy in the same way.
I definitely agree. Like it's like that's why like for me, like I like going to like the PAX East more than like TwitchCon just because PAX East is more about the gaming community than just streamers in general. Obviously you're gonna have people that are streaming
Hmm.
uh, at those conventions, but there's so much that I do like at PAX East outside of the convention. I really just use PAX East as like, hey, let's meet up here, and then let's go outside, go to a local bar, local restaurant, go to some local establishment and hang out. Um, and I agree with the whole like connection stuff. Like it's networking is so key. Not just on a stream standpoint, but on a personal standpoint.
Hmm.
The friends that you make with like your community members and people that you don't know that you just meet at a convention that now become part of your community. It's such a big thing, and it's that kind of stuff that I miss. Like you could still do that while you're streaming, but it makes it so much more personal and and stronger when it's IRL, not just online, or, on a face cam.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you go from. I mean, sometimes you have maybe you stream with somebody and you guys play a game together, but like the people that you're constantly talking to day in and day out are the people in chat, the people who just happen to pop by, and yeah, you are talking to them and they are talking to you, but you are essentially talking to a chat window and you're reading what they're saying back to you. It's just, it's nice to have that break, like that couple times a year, to be like put some voices to faces and names and stuff like that. It's just it's really interesting, and I'm going to be interested to see how everything comes back because I know everyone's going to be apprehensive coming back to it. There's going to be some people who are just like all for it, ready to go, and there's going to be some people that are like, nah, I'm going to take my time getting back to them. I'm one of those, where I'm going to take my time getting back to it because I've got other things going on too. I mean, you are probably going to be the last podcast I do before my child arrives, my first child. So it's kind of crazy, man. I'm glad we could get you in under the wire here.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I'm very happy for you, and it's actually interesting. Like I visited my best friend this weekend who just got married at the end of February, and he now tells me that he's expecting too. I'm like, what is happening? I'm like,
Yeah.
it goes from like I had he was like a friend of mine since like the third grade, and I'm like, and now we're now to this day it's like he's married and now he's expecting his own child. I'm like, times go fast, man. It just you don't it's nowadays, especially nowadays, with with the pandemic, it's you don't want to take life for granted. And now that with yours coming very soon, dude, my hands would be shaking. I'd be sweating. My sweat would be sweating sweat, and I'm just like I'd be nervous as heck. But that's awesome, man. I'm so happy for you and your wife.
Yeah, we're really excited. I don't think that I know the nerves are hitting her. I mean, because we talk every day, but like it, I don't think the nerves have hit me yet. And I think what'll happen is they'll hit me when I see her. When I see her, I'll be like, oh man, this is like it's real now. And I think that I think that part of what spending more of your time inside with a pandemic over the past year has done for a lot of people I know, and I know it's done it for me. It's like it's kind of forced a reflection that a lot of people maybe wouldn't have had. I'm kind of an inner reflective person anyway, but it kind of forced it a little more because you weren't able to go out and have those distractions that you're used to. Like I can go out with some friends or go to a good restaurant or a bar or something like that just to pass some time or get out and take a trip. Like this is probably the longest that me and the wife have gone without having some sort of trip somewhere, to go relax for a long weekend or relax for a week. And it's been sort of it's been really in inner reflective intensive, I guess I could say. And I think a lot of people are seeing that like, oh, it really when those options are taken away, like the option to go to a convention or the option to go, to another town you've never been to for a weekend, like when those options go away, it's amazing how much you're like, oh, I do miss that. I do need that. Um, I don't know if you've kind of felt the same at all, but man, it's wild that it's not really that I take anything for granted. You just when it's there, you're just kind of like, I'm just able to do this, and when it's gone, you're like, all right, well, that sucks.
No, no, I don't. When I meant like the whole like take for granted. Like, there's a lot of people like back in the past would just say, "Oh, I have I had all this time in the world, and I can do this and I can do that." And as soon as the pandemic hit, they're like, "Whoa, I gotta, I gotta, think about really hard with the with family and friends, and really really cherish those moments." Because the other thing too, and it's not sad to say, but it's like you look at how many COVID cases. I haven't really read the news, but like I know I feel like cases have been kind of slowing down, but like I've been hearing from my community, like where there'll be people that they have their close family or like even friends or coworkers that have passed away because of COVID. It's like it kind of hits you just like, as and I mean not everyone, but like, I know for myself, it's like whoa, like I gotta like take the time, like, and it's hard because like if I want to hang out with people, but it's at the same time I can't hang out with people because of COVID, and
Hmm.
especially like some of myself who I haven't even gotten a chance to take the vaccine yet.
Yeah.
It's like it's really hard for me to do that kind of stuff. So I'm like literally here at my place, by myself, and it's just like it get it, it's weird how like a year goes by,
Hmm.
with this whole pandemic, and it just you know it's just it's weird.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I probably do know, but like just like with me, I mean, you build your community, right? And whether you're a Twitch streamer or you're a YouTube person or whatever you might do, you start meeting people and creating a circle, right? And I feel like I have consciously, even before the pandemic, I was consciously like aware when someone hadn't shown up in a while, Um, you're just I haven't seen so and so in a minute, or someone will make a reference. They'll be like, where is so and so? And I feel like during the pandemic, it's kind of amplified a little bit, where I'm like checking on people every once in a while because it's like taking a toll on some folks. Um, so I mean, have you found yourself checking in on people a little more than you maybe did before, or is it kind of the same?
I would probably say a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
and I say that not like it's in the past. I really didn't, but it kind of to your point. It's just like, well, like what happened to so and so? Like where have they been? And then you think about like, oh, are they going through COVID? Are they going through something else related to COVID,
Mm-hmm.
or just something in general? And it makes you reach out to people more, um, especially as a person like myself who like I care a lot about everyone, and I
Mm-hmm.
just want to make sure that hey, are how are you doing? Are you doing okay? And it's a good thing too. It's a way to kind of show that to your friends and to your family, like you're there for them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it feels good to feel that reach out. You know, what I'm saying, like it's almost like, I don't know. I've always kind of had that idea in my head of like going through life as like, if someone acknowledges you, you acknowledge them, and like it just sometimes it's just, for some people it just feels good that someone's just said, "Hey, how you doing? How you been?" Even that, like even if the conversation just goes to, "Oh yeah, I'm good. I hope you've been well." Even if it goes that far, like you never know how um just how much that will help somebody in a day, you know? Um, Part of why I kind of got into, I mean, broadcasting early on, because I did radio and stuff like that, and then I moved into doing podcasting and then Twitch streaming. Was to connect with people. I don't think you. I mean, people can be as nonchalant as they want about their content, about putting things out there. It's like, oh, I just need to do this to scratch my creative itch. But like, you are doing it in a sense to connect with people. And I was kind of, basically the reason why I would jump into things like this was, yes, I did want to scratch that creative itch, and I wanted to get some stuff that was mine out there. Um, but it's also to find people of a like mind, right? Like to find people you can pull in and be like, "Oh, you enjoy this? Let me show you what else I can do. Let me, what else do you like to see?" And you get ideas from people that come to consume your content. What was kind of your driver? Like, I know you're hitting about to hit 6 years. Did you do anything before streaming that kind of led to streaming, or did you just kind of happen to find streaming?
Um, well, I know when I first joined Twitch, like in 2014, I was like, well, it's it's actually funny. Like, so I'm here in my office with my team, and I'm talking to the IT guys, and the IT one IT manager comes up and tells me like, hey, like, I know you like video games, right? It's, oh, yeah. What do you? It's like, but because I'm Asian, you think I like video games? Like what is like as a joke,
Yeah.
type of thing. And I'm like, it's like, yeah, I like video games. Like, well, you should definitely go check out this website. It's called Twitch. And I was like, what's that? Like everyone else, and like he's like, what's Twitch? Like even if you ask someone now, like, what's Twitch? I mean, like maybe like back in the day, like what the heck is that?
Right.
Um, he's like, well, it's this website where you have people that play video games and they actually chat with people online. I was like, oh, okay, that sounds like a. It's actually funny because I remember back in the day when I was watching I was a big advocate of watching like old school game walkthroughs on YouTube.
Mhm.
Like I'll find a game that I haven't played in a long ass time, and I'll go on YouTube to see someone do like a playthrough, and they actually have commentary behind it. And I'm like, I wonder one day I can actually do something like that. And then, ironically, my the IT manager told me, he's like, hey, you should go definitely check out Twitch. I was like, okay. So the first stream I ever watched was Dan's Gaming, and
Mhm.
he was doing his October Halloween month. And I'm like, and I went in there, I was like, without a clue of what's happening. And I'm just like, this is really cool. And
Yeah.
then and then the streamer like Dan was, talking to his community about, the game and everything. And I'm like, this is really neat. So went from him to Tim the Tap Man, watched him for a little bit when he was doing his back in the day. He calls it like Himalayan Sea Monkey Sundays, and he was playing like COD with
Mhm.
two of his other friends. And it was probably one of the most hilarious things I ever seen in my life at the time. And
Yeah.
I'm like, this is really cool. This is intriguing me even more. And then I found out, how Tim, he kind of like engaged to his audience and like said, he did like mail time and, kind of like give inspiration to the viewers about, just like stuff in like life in general, whether it was streaming or whether it was just, personal.
Yeah.
And it got to me. I'm thinking like, hey, maybe I can do this. Maybe I could, bring in a community where I can meet people, you know, build that friendship, play a game, and have a good time. And that's when I think I actually before that I never really had like a PC. I was never a PC gamer. I was always console. And then I built my own PC, and then I started streaming in April of 2015, and then it just took off from there.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. Like I'm similar to you. I mean, I had PC gamed in the past. I had some PCs. They were just pre-built things, right? Um, and I I kind of happened on. I knew what Twitch was, and it never like grabbed my interest. I just knew it was there. It was just kind of one of those things. Like, oh yeah, there's this thing where you can watch people stream video games, and I kind of not really rolled my eyes at it. I was just kind of like, it's there. I never really thought to apply it to what I had already been doing in the past. And we were actually thinking about picking up, me and a friend of mine, my best friend actually, we were thinking about picking up a game, and we were kind of on the fence because it was a little pricey at the time, and we didn't want to spend money on something that we weren't going to use, stuff like that. Um, and it was actually Friday the 13th, the game, right? We were thinking about we
Oh
wanted
dear.
yeah, we wanted something we could play together. And I mean, you don't know what you don't know, right? Like, and so he was like, "Well, this guy's playing the game right now. Check it out. Watch a little bit of it, see if you think you like it. If you think you want to pick it up, I'll pick it up and we'll play." And so he sent me this link. I go to the page, and this guy his name is Angry Pug, and he's
Nice.
playing Friday the 13th, and I'm just like, I was just kind of amazed at just I was like, I didn't know you could. I thought it was just people playing video games, right? I didn't never
Mhm.
I never put I could, you could do commentary along with it, you can make it funny, you've got a chat to talk to, and immediately things started falling into places like, look, this is very similar to radio, it just has a visual aspect to it. The chat are your callers, and you're the host, and you can kind of drive the show how you want to. And I was like, this is very fascinating. It didn't really, I mean, I didn't really think about streaming myself until I watched him for a couple weeks, and I was kind of like, maybe I've been doing this podcast for a while. Maybe I can jump in and play some games and start meeting some people, and just trying to see where this goes. And
Right.
at the time, it was kind of like Twitch was a thing, but I hadn't really. While I made an account, I hadn't really thought about streaming on Twitch. I jumped on and I streamed. I think the very first thing I ever streamed was Doom 2016 on Facebook. Actually, I streamed it on Facebook. Um, and it was interesting. I didn't have a camera or anything. I just streamed what I was doing, and I had a microphone already because I was podcasting at that point. Um, and I was like, all right, this is kind of cool. And then I decided, I was like, you know what? Let's jump. I did that for a little while, not very long, and then I jumped over and I started finding more people that streamed Dead by Daylight and stuff like that because I had tried Dead by Daylight honestly back when it was like first they had like the first free play weekend, right? They were trying to get
Right.
people into the game. And my buddy Crucial, Crucial,
Hmm.
he was like, "Hey man, you got to try this game out." And I was like, "Okay." We jumped in. I hated it. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, I have no idea. Like, I'd have no idea what I'm doing, how to get away, what any of this stuff does. And he's trying to explain it to me. And I was like, I just don't know. And so about that time that we'd gotten into Friday the 13th, and I just tried a couple of streams. I wasn't streaming regularly. Pug went back to doing Dead by Daylight, and it was watching. And I think this is one of the big, I think, benefits of Twitch, right? If you're unsure about a game or you want to see how a game is played properly, you can go and find someone who's really good at the game and watch them. And I
Hmm.
was just from watching him play, I was like, oh, I get how you're supposed to do all this. I get how you're supposed to put all this together. And it's almost like a strategy guide without being a strategy guide. You're watching someone who's really good at the game,
Right.
and you're like, oh,
Right.
I can try to emulate what he's doing here. And then that's how I got into DBD and ultimately found you and several other people. But it's wild how like the paths you take to get there, you know?
Well, it's it's funny how you mentioned like when you were doing your first stream ever. Like when when I did mine, I was into. I guess I played. I was playing a game at that time that that I was. I wasn't even think. I wasn't even thinking about. Oh, in my first stream, am I gonna? Should I play this game or should I play that game? I was just playing a game that I was already playing. So it's funny how yours was Doom 2016 because mine was Doom 3 was Doom 3. That was my first ever game I streamed on Twitch.
Right.
And I can remember to this day because before I started streaming, um I eventually became a mod for Tuna Tatman and became, became, good friends, good, close to the community and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I met that when I started my first stream, I had some people from that community come by to mine and just hang out. And my first ever stream, Tim rated me. And I'm like, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no alerts. My webcam background was I made it through Microsoft Paint. Um, I had a headset mic. I I had like I had no idea what was happening. And that was I think it was actually at the time where they had like the whole like what like shoe on head or what was the whole like that whole meme thing. I was like, so I think I actually oh no, it was like I think it was like water on head, and I actually took I remember I took a plastic cup of water and I dumped it on my head while Tim raided me. I was like, and I'm just like, and to this day, I'm just like, it's interesting how like, and then you were talking about when you play DVD. I hated DVD when it first came out.
Mhm.
I like my one of my mods, Dreads. He he uh he introduced me to DVD. He's like, hey Tech, I really think you'll like this game. I'm like, and I started playing, and I was like, what the actual hell is this?" I'm like, I had to touch a gen, repair it, exit it, try to escape from a killer. I can't see anything because it's so dark,
Yeah.
and it was. I hate the fact that I remember when I first started playing, I would like hit spacebar for the skill check, and I would screw it up every time. And I'm just like, what is the point of this game? There's no point. And then, well, 3,600 hours later,
Yeah.
it's history. History tells itself.
Yeah, it's wild. If you had told me that free weekend that I played, that I would eventually have like close to 3,000 hours in that game, I would have been like, "You're crazy." I don't know how I'd ever put 3,000 hours into really anything that's a
Any
video
game,
game, any game at all, exactly. And I'm just kind of like, this is nuts. But it ended up being so cool. Like the people that you get to meet, as a result, just people that were connected to people. Like I found through Pug, I found like Morph, and through Morph, I found Vince, and then like through those two, I somehow found you. Like it was crazy, like how
hmm
how like interconnected everything is. And even after like a lot of people have moved on from that game, and they're playing other games now that are that are different. Like that connection that you have to a game that you played before. It doesn't even have to be Dead by Daylight. It can be any game, H1Z1, whatever you played before. Like you can still touch base with those people that were all a part of it. It's just like a snapshot in time. Like I don't think it'll ever be. And I'm sure that there's other groups forming around DBD now because the game is huge. Like it's way bigger than it was even when I was streaming it, a year and a half, 2 years
right?
ago. Um, but it's kind of cool because I've kept touch with so many people that aren't even involved with that game anymore. And it's I don't know how, like, I don't know if part of it was the timing for the game or if it was just the timing of when I entered into all those communities, but you got to meet some crazy people and make some really cool friends. And that to me is like the draw, right? The draw to something like Twitch, or something where you can interact with the person that's creating, instantaneously. You reach a point like, so Tim, right? I found Tim way late. I found Tim like way after I was into DVD and stuff like that. But there's
Right.
some like, so I don't really have like that same connection. But the thing I like about Tim's streams is I will definitely tune in and watch the first hour where he's just sitting around bullshitting with chat. Like
Oh yeah.
to me,
Oh
that's
yeah.
like the draw. Like he starts playing a game and I'm kind of like, okay, well, that's just someone playing a game at that point to me. Um, but I found that like you get this thing that's intangible in recorded content where you can go in and listen to someone's thoughts about what's going on in the world, what's going on with the game, what's going on in their life, depending on how long you stick around. And it's just there's a certain point, and I think you know what I'm talking about. There's a certain turning point where like you're like, okay, I first came here because I wanted to watch someone play this game, and now I'm like
Right.
coming here because I want to see this person and hear what they have to say about what they're doing.
Yeah. Like it's. I feel the same way. Like there's definitely people like on Twitch where like I'll tune in, specifically because either a they're like really good at like I mean there's like you have like it's just where you have people that are their streamers are really good at the game. You have people who are just good as being like communicate like the interaction and the communication. And then you'll have very few streamers who I believe can do both. But like they're really good at the game and they can communicate.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what you'll see. Like I don't know if you'll. I mean, I feel like that's what you'll see like any like content creator, whether that's YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch.
Hmm.
Um, but there's definitely like I know there's gonna be. I know I definitely have people that I go on Twitch and I watch purely just because they can do anything. They could have a Microsoft Paint application on their window and they could do tic tac toe, and
Hmm.
I could watch them. And then there's gonna be times where I'll watch somebody because they're like I don't know sometimes it's funny how like I'll still watch like CS:GO.
Hmm.
And I'll watch like the pro tournaments and I'll just watch like the gameplay. I don't even look at chat, don't even look at the stream. I just watch the game. But
Yeah.
there's definitely like I feel like some like there's some people out there that like I know like you specifically that I can just you could probably clip your toenails for all for all I know. And I just like damn, I like the way Lopez is clipping his toenails. And then at the same time, you could be talking about like world peace or something. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm really getting into this. You know,
Yeah.
there's like that rarity where you have somebody that can be entertaining and play a game at the same, really well. Like for like when I watch you and I'll look and see you play Hunt Showdown. I have no idea what's happening. And I still don't know what's happening, but it's something I'll learn from
Mhm,
from you and from others, the game aspect and whatnot. But honestly, for me, like I don't know about you, but I like going to Twitch to watch someone just because of their interaction.
mhm.
But there's gonna be some people who want to go watch somebody because they're amazing at a game. So
Yeah. Yeah, it scratches both sides, right? Like you can go in and be like, I just want to. There's something about it doesn't even have to be. I was talking about this with my buddy Sean the other week. There's something about just seeing people do anything on a high level, right? Whether it's going to see a band that's been together for, forever and they're just really tight live, or, maybe seeing someone who's just really good at, like you said, playing a game. Like, you don't tune into Shroud for, top quality personality. You tune in because he's going to be, headshotting people and just pulling off crazy
oh
plays.
yeah, yeah,
It's there's just different reasons why you'll go to whatever content you're going to. There's a reason why, there's so many like really good, really well produced cooking YouTube channels and cooking streams out there, because people are really good and really passionate about it. There's just something about watching someone that's so good at something, like you can just sit back and be like, I can appreciate this. I don't really give a shit what his chat's saying, right? I just want to watch this person, cook this food or play this game or, play the guitar. There's some really good, musical streamers out there. And it's just seeing people on that high level, and seeing people do something that you're kind of like, man, that's a level of talent that you can't even like wrap your head around.
right,
It's kind of nuts, dude. I don't know. There's just something about the whole live aspect of it too. I think that just kind of puts it just makes it different from a YouTube video where like you go in and like it's not like anything could happen, because you do have control over like things that, people that are there and things that you want to put on, but there's still that like there's still that background pressure of like, well, I'm live. I can't just sit here. I can't just sit. If something bad happens, I can't just sulk about it, turn it off, walk away. I mean, you can in extreme cases, but I like the live aspect of it, which I wasn't getting from just podcasting alone. Podcasting
right,
alone, it's at least, if I mess up the intro, I can start the intro over. If I
right.
do something and, I think that maybe it doesn't need to go out over the air or something like that, I can just edit it before it goes out. There's something, and our communities are similar in this way. Like there's something about the audience that likes to revel in mess ups. Um, when you
Oh,
misspeak
trust
or
me, I know.
they go crazy over it, and you're just kind of like, I like that we're busting balls. This is great. But ball busting is probably is one of the most essential things in my community. I know it's pretty essential in yours too. There's just something about it, man. I mean, do you? I don't know. I don't think I could have the same stream if we weren't busting balls.
No, no, I agree. It's like sometimes the community will make me like they'll do some redemption, and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, especially if I'm playing like when I'm playing Phasmophobia, you want me to freeze when the ghost is about to kill my ass? Like, really? Like, well, I gotta do it. It's there, and then it happens. I'm like, great, thanks, I appreciate it. But I mean, again, it goes back to like what I tell other streamers, like that are trying to get into what are people that are, well, viewers that now want to go into streaming, because
Mm,
it's actually really it's very astonishing, like and I know it's been like, I feel like I'm a grandpa at Twitch. I've been here for like 6 years,
right.
like and but some people have actually watched me and be wanted to say, hey, I want to do what Tech does. I want to do content creation, because what he's doing is looks like it's it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I tell people one of the key aspects is that do not be afraid, to to make fun of yourself because one, most audiences will love that. They'll love that. It's like, hey, I messed up, crap, but you had had to eat it, and you had to, make fun of it and make it entertaining, but not like toxic.
Hmm.
But it's it's really interesting how like how I've been here, how I've been on this platform for so long. It's like, and you learn things from other people too, and that's you know I learned from you that I need a sexy voice. That's why I got my Go XLR. Um, I need to have a beard, which as I'm a guy who has his mother's hair and can't grow facial hair like like others. It's not easy. So
Right.
so it's like, but and I but I it's I don't know. It's really humbling where you have like you'll have community members, want to start streaming and broadcasting, because of you. And
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure that it's the same, it's the same on your end.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you get regardless of what size you are, and that's kind of the cool thing about Twitch, regardless of what size you are, like you have people that are going to be very devoted and very, very much they want to be there, maybe they can't always be there, but they want to
Right.
be there for you, right? And when someone approaches you and just like, I want to do this too, it kind of goes into this area of just like, well, you kind of have that realization of like, oh my goodness, like I've in some way influenced. I know they watch other people. I know that they obviously know this is a very big platform, but like it feels good to know that like you have at least brought somebody to the edge of something to now they can be like, okay, I want to try this. Like they may not know if they want to keep doing it, but they know
Hmm.
that like they could give it a shot, right? And I think that comes with getting to know whatever streamer you're watching or whatever content creator you're watching. Like you kind of realize, oh, this is just a dude like coming in and turning on his mic, turning on his game and his camera, and he's just talking, and I think I can do that, right? Or I want to give it a shot. Um, and it's kind of cool, like when someone comes to you for advice on a couple things here and there, and like maybe a setup and all that stuff, and I don't know, like it feels good to help somebody like try to figure that out. Um,
Hmm.
and the best advice I give people, I was like, first of all, just, don't, obviously buy things that you might need to do this, but if you've got a computer and you've got like a basic microphone, just see if you like it first. Like, don't spend a ton of money on it until you
Oh,
know this is what
definitely,
I want to do.
definitely.
Because you see people do that where they're like, I want to try out streaming. I just went and bought an SM7B and a Go XLR. And it's like, You haven't even streamed before?" Like, no. I'm like,
No,
"Oh,
yeah, no.
okay."
Well, it's like it's that. And I tell my community the same thing. Like you can like there are people I know who literally have they stream on a laptop and they have their phone as their chat and they have their webcam as a mic. It, it's doable. It's not like you have to have, oh, this guy has, three monitors. They're all 144 hertz. So this guy has a mirrorless DSLR camera and has, a lens, an additional lens on it. Oh, this guy also has a Shure 77B, a Go XLR,
Hmm.
you know, or three stream decks. I'm like, you don't need all that kind of stuff.
No.
And I didn't start with that kind of stuff when I first began. As I said, I had two monitors, which is one more than most people. I had my headset mic, and I had uh just like just a standard PC build, nothing too crazy.
Right.
And you build like, and as I said, if you like it, build upon it. Don't spend like 5K on like a setup, and then you like, I don't like doing this. It's like, well, then what? Then it's like, well, now what do you do with all this stuff? You're gonna sell? You're gonna give it up or whatnot? And it's just that's why it's like to your point, like see if you like it. And the people that have reached out to me saying that, hey, you kind of influenced me to start streaming,
Hmm.
and and then they tell me like, do I need this? I'm like, no. Do I need this? No. Because I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be flat out honest with you. Like
Hmm.
there are a lot of these people that stuff that ask me like, you don't need this. And I've had people that had like a basic build and start streaming, and now they're growing and they're adding more stuff to their ensemble,
Mhm.
to their setup, and it's they're taking off.
Yeah.
So it's like you just gotta warm up to it first, and that's and I think going back to that point is that, and I tell this to my community, like, don't ever hesitate to ask me for like advice. I'm gonna be like, even if it's like during a stream, I will tell you, hey, this is what you should do. This is what you need to look for. And I think people see that as like, well, I know most people see it as like, that's awesome. It's awesome for you to take your time, to help me out or give me advice on what I should do. And you have the one dickhead who'll be like, hey, why don't you do this on your off time? Why don't you, for someone who just came by and just say, hey, you shouldn't be, talking like this while you're streaming. Like, oh, I'm sorry, you're the broadcaster. You want the mic, you want the camera to,
Yeah.
continue what I'm doing. I'm here. Like I tell people, like, this is not my full time job. I do this for fun.
Right.
This is just it's a hobby of mine. It's just a very successful hobby. I can, to put the least.
Yeah.
But um,
Yeah, it's always interesting to see when like people stop by to try, and it doesn't happen a ton because I usually don't. I mean, I know you're very similar, but I usually don't suffer fools for too long in my stream because I'm just kind of like,
mhm,
I've got people here that want to be here and that are supportive of what I'm doing, and we're just here to have a good time. So
right.
I send people along pretty quick. But I was talking to my wife. We were talking today. No, it was last night. We were sitting around watching some TV, and something was on. I think we were watching a show called Them on Prime, right?
Mhm,
And it's really good. It's really kind of creepy, but it's good. It's kind of along that vein of Get Out, not Get Out. I think it's Get Out. Either way, it's kind of along the Get Out and Us and stuff like that. Very very Jordan Peele, like influenced. And so they're dealing with like stuff having to do with race and stuff like that. And I was thinking about Twitch, and I was thinking about social media in general. I was like, the amount of energy, right? The amount of energy and wasted time that goes into people who like to just drop into a chat or leave shitty comments, or, just post
right.
really incendiary shit on social media. I'm just kind of like, all the time you spend doing this, like you could be doing something for yourself. You could be,
Mhm.
you could be doing all this other stuff, but people just have their idea of the way things work, and they have this idea in their head that like, I'm going to change the way people see, you know, see something in a negative way. And it's just I just don't understand the time and energy waste on that.
Well, I mean, to your point, it's just like, n- it's just like when you get people that have like the negativity, it's just like, yeah, like the same thing. Like, why? Why would you just come into somebody's like channel and just be like, hey, like, and I tell a lot of people, like, I have really like, streaming has really made me have tougher skin. I like, it's like if like, if somebody would have came to me like and told me some of the stuff they said now, like when I first started, I'd probably be like, oh crap. I think, guys, I think that's a good time to end.
Hmm.
I hope everyone had a good time here, whatever, and I end.
Yeah.
But like, the more I stream, the more I the times I had that, I'm like, it builds tough skin. I mean, not I mean, and I when I mean by that is that even with you know how much there's some toxicity on the internet, where that's streaming or just in general. It's, you go back and say like, yeah, you're wasting your time here. Like,
Hmm.
why it's you're only making yourself look bad. And it's like, and that's, it goes back to like, it also goes back just not even just like Twitch itself being, a social media platform. It goes back to like, you're just looking at Twitter and
Hmm.
see some of these people just like kind of bring other people down, like their success. Like, why do you have to, be that person? Why
Yeah.
do you have to be that person to like bring others people's down, because you're not that point. You're not bringing in thousands of people into your channel, or just you're not getting that attention.
Yeah.
And it's like, you think to yourself, and then what the other thing that's cool is that other people in your community kind of like build upon your upon you and say, kind of agree with you, and kind of also defend you as well.
Hmm.
But it's just like, I don't get why people just have to be like just to be toxic in general. I mean, I know like I try to bring out like positivity as much as I can. I'm gonna be honest. I'll be a little toxic at times, just to kind of twist things up, but not
Mhm.
to a point to bring somebody down, you
Right.
know, or try to try to tell them like stop doing what you're doing type of ordeal. And it's like, but I feel like there still has to be it's kind of weird where you feel like you still have to have some sort of toxicity to have that balance. It can't be everything positive and in flowers and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But I feel like you know we need to bring it to a minimum. Just to kind of to teach people like, hey, you don't have to be like this, but you're gonna have people who don't give a crap and gonna continue it, and you can't change their mind, which is sad, but the truth.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. You even brought it up. Like, there's the toxic. Like, I'm going for a laugh. We're having fun, but I'm not trying to hurt anybody. Like, I'm not hurting anybody by doing this. I'm just doing something silly. Um, but then, 9 times out of 10, people with shitty comments are usually. It's just like when we talk about back in the day before, when talking about pre-internet, people were just being bullies or people were just being shitty to people in real life, right?
Hmm.
Face to face. It's just usually there's something where it's like I'm really trying to connect with people, and I don't know how to do it. Is what it comes down to. I don't know how to connect with folks in a way because I've definitely had people, not so much. I mean, early on, you definitely had people that would come into my chat or something like that, and they'll be they'll try to be toxic, and I've turned people around being like, hey man, what's going on, like why, what's up with you, like why, not even being shitty to them, just being like genuinely wanting to
Yeah.
know, like, so what now, what, just being like, now what, like, okay, so I'll play into this for a second.
Hmm.
I'll kind of placate their whatever shitty energy they're putting out. And there's a few of those that I turned around, like, and now they're here all the time. And that's really cool because really what it came down to is they had nobody to listen to them. They were
Hmm.
just bored. They were maybe lonely, and they were just lashing out because they see somebody having a good time with with other people, and they're kind of like, let me see how I can make this shitty for them because my situation is shitty for me right now.
Right.
um, so, there's those cases where you can turn some people around, and there's some times where you're just kind of like, well, and those have to start from a certain point. Like, there's certain points you come, like a shitty person will come in, and you'll be like, yeah, I can't rehab that right now on the fly live while I'm playing a
Right.
video
Yeah.
game and I'm talking to people. Like, that's not something I can handle. So you got to go. Um, but there's definitely those cases where most of the time it's just they just want someone to hear them, see them, and they don't know how to do it. I think that's been the real eye opener for me with Twitch is you got a lot of people who are they're using Twitch as a tool to kind of figure out how to be more social. More a little, you'll meet them in real life and they're very shy, or you'll talk to them and they'll be like, "No, I have severe anxiety. I won't be going to the convention." Stuff like that. And you're kind of like, "Oh, I didn't, I had no clue." They're comfortable talking to you through the screen, just like someone's comfortable insulting you through the screen. There's people who are just comfortable being themselves because they know they're safe at their house or something like that. Um,
Right.
I don't know, like, I'm sure you've seen plenty of it too, but it's Twitch is a really cool social tool for people that don't really know how to talk to people in person. And
Agree. Yeah.
yeah, it's really neat, man. I've met some really cool people that, had they had I not known them or they not known me, they may have never felt comfortable, you know, meeting up and hanging out at, at TwitchCon, or meeting up and hanging out at PAX. Um, and it's just it's surprising to see still, like, oh, okay, I get, like, it's just things that you don't have problems with. Like, you meet someone and I've talked to some of my friends. They're kind of like, how do you get to know so much about the people that are in and out of your chat? I was like, it's just like, I mean, the best way I can explain it is like, how does an inmate figure out little bits of knowledge about, the security guard, right? The person that's the
Hmm.
corrections officer. It's like they're all there together several days in a row, and they just hear this, they hear that. Like, And then it gets to the point where like, oh, how'd this test go? How did, how'd your, job interview go? Stuff like that. Like you just start learning about folks, and that kind of circles back around to that when you get to know that much about someone, you start to recognize when they're not around. Not in a bad
Mhm.
way. Not in like I don't want you to go spend time with another streamer or go consume other
Exactly.
content.
Yeah.
It's just like I genuinely, are you okay? Are you good? You know?
Well, and then it goes back to like full circle to like when I the reason kind of why I kind of wanted to stream was to to meet people, to network with people. I wanted I wanted people to be able to feel that they're in a safe place and that when they're around with me. And it goes back to the whole convention aspect, and it's kind of why I really miss it is because I remember when I went to, I think it was was it the first ever TwitchCon was like 2015. I was obviously brand new. I just started in 2015. I was like, wasn't sure who was there, and I meet these people that I see on the stream all on Twitch all the time, and me in person. And then it was what the following TwitchCon I went to. I didn't go to 2016. I went to 2017, which I think was in Long Beach. Yeah, I think it was like Long Beach, which it's this is a side thing. Like a lot of people said that they liked the Long Beach, but dude, like I had like no cell reception in the convention center,
Yeah.
and then there was nothing to do around, and there was nothing to do around Long Beach from when I was there.
All right.
But to the point is that you know you going from like 2015 and 2017, and you go from just started streaming to establishing a community. And it comes back to the fact of like I was like, I think at the time I kind of like tweet out, say, hey, if you want to meet me, you want to meet up with me, just kind of hang out and stuff like that, meet me here. And I thought I was gonna have nobody. I figured in my head I was like, no one's gonna show up. But I over a handful of people actually showed up. And it goes to show you that, going back to what we've been talking about, it's like you build those friendships and relationships with your community to a point where they want to actually meet with you, face to face. They want to hang out with you. And it's very touching. It's like you feel like you're just this person on a camera, playing a video game.
Yeah.
But in reality, to some people, you're an idol. You know, you're the icon to them. You're that someone that they can look up to.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you do or not. I know I'll get some DMs here and there of people that reached out to me saying, hey, I'm battling, they're battling depression, or I'm battling with drug addiction. I've
Yeah.
actually had some people reach out to me related to like to suicide.
Yeah.
Not to say that, hey, they were saying more like, hey, I prevented that from happening,
Right.
because they were at a bad place at the time, and they stopped by once and it changed their life,
Yeah.
ordeal. And it's that kind of stuff that, makes you want to continue streaming, regardless of me like of go wherever I'm gonna go in this platform, however long it stays,
Yeah.
especially with stupid DMCA. Anyway, you know, it's just you get to those moments where it's like I'm glad I started doing this. I'm glad I became open, and I'm glad that I'm able to help people out,
Hmm.
and I'm pretty sure people in your community is the exact same way. You've helped people out as well, get through their day, whether it's like for 5 minutes and just start, laughing their butts off, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, you can't mistake your reach, right? Like you can never mistake the reach that you have, regardless of how big your community is. Like I've always kind of gone at, my reasons for streaming have always been the same, but the goals I set have changed dramatically, right? So y- you have to look at it like this. If you're going to start streaming, first of all, get into it for yourself and make sure you're doing things for that are good for you, right? The things that you like doing. And, once you start building some people, like it's really not, you can't mistake the reach that you have with those, even if you're a small streamer, 10, 15, 20 people you have, right? Like you can't mistake the fact that there are folks that are just I've got people, and I know you've got people for sure that I've never chatted with, but I can see that they're there and they just come and they hang out. And every now and then someone will pop and be like, look, I lurk all the time, but I just wanted to
Hmm.
say thanks. Or I just wanted to say, or I'll just ask a random question and they'll be like, I never talk in here, but here's my opinion. And then they disappear again. Like, it's just
Right.
kind
Yeah.
of one
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
those things. And you can't mistake what you're doing for folks. You might be bummed. Like, I know I've talked to people where they're bummed out. Like, I'm only at like 5 to 10 people. And, I was like, but that's 5 to 10 people that are showing up to hang out with you. Like it's
Exactly.
you can't there's a power in that. Like even if I look at my podcast and I say, "Oh, only, 30, 40 people listen to this worldwide," right? I'm just like, but that's 30 or 40 people that may have gotten something from this conversation. Like you have to kind of look at it. And that's kind of where things have shifted for me. And that's kind of what I'm going to get into with you next. Like I started out doing podcasting thinking, all right, I like talking. I like doing pop culture stuff and I like to talk to people and have guests on and I want to make this thing big, right? There became a point where it kind of shifted to like, all right, it would be great if this is big, but what I care about is A, being creative and B, just putting things out there, like constantly creating and, just having stuff for people to consume because I know I've got an audience. I don't care how small it is. I know that there's an audience that really seeks this stuff out. Um, and so it became, even from first TwitchCon I went to the last TwitchCon I went to, my attitude going into it is so different. Like the first one I went in, I was like, all right, I got business cards. We're gonna talk to everybody we can
Yep.
talk
Hmm.
to.
Hmm.
We're gonna show up at every, how many of these keynotes can I go to? How many of these,
Right.
meetings
Right.
can I go to? To the second one where I was just kind of like one day at the con, and the rest of the time I was just, it was
Oh
me and my
yeah.
friends tracking each other down. Where are you at? Oh, we're at this bar. Come on down over here. And I'm glad I did those two before we did PAX because PAX, it is so much more about video games than it is about
Hmm.
streaming.
Oh yeah.
So you're there and there's not the pressure. Like I feel like everybody at TwitchCon's like, all right, I'm ready to sell myself. I'm
Yes.
ready to like,
I agree.
how do we how do I get in with this person? And then you trade a ton of business cards, but then, and maybe you have a few new people that drop in afterwards, but then it kind of goes back to normal within the month
Right.
after that.
Exactly.
So it's
Oh
just
yeah.
everybody's just excited and they're like, "Oh, here's a partner streamer. Let me go talk to this partner streamer, man. He did it. He's living the dream." And you're just kind of like, "Oh, well, you go back to the second time and I'm like, this is just about meeting up with all those people that I connected with last time, and it's great, and it's so much less stress. It's so much less stress. But my question, I guess, to you is, you're about to hit 6 years, and that's amazing. Congratulations. I think that's really,
Thank
really,
you.
really cool. Um, how has your what how have your goals changed for streaming? Like, I'm sure you had one thought, the first year you did this. You probably had a different thought by year 2, 3. And then like kind of how has that changed to now, 6 years streaming?
That's a tough question. I guess. I guess I mean to anybody's goal,
Hmm.
that streams on Twitch is to eventually get a Twitch partner.
Hmm.
It's always a big thing. So it's like, hey, I got the purple check mark, and I'm good. And it's obviously it's still a goal of mine,
Yeah.
to go to get that. But at the end of the day, like I tell myself that, and I don't know if it's for you or for anyone else, but it's like I know for me, because I've been on here for 6 years, I feel like if that ever happened, it's like my validation to my content.
Mm.
It's my validation to say, hey, I'm doing a good job. You know that it's the amount of work and hours and just time that I put into this, invested into this, that it was going to get me somewhere. You know, I mean, yes,
Yeah.
it's still a goal of mine for that, but honestly, like it's I don't like I was just talking to some friends and from my community, and kind of like got a consensus that I don't need, a check mark to be validated. I don't need that little purple hash, little symbol next to my name to say, "Hey, I made it."
Mhm.
You know, it's like, the validation is my community.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to see them after being on this for 6 years. I'm starting to, see that more and more. There may have been times before it was like, all I cared about was getting partnered, or all I cared about was, becoming the next, you know, Tim or Lyric or whatnot.
Mhm.
Just to be like, say, hey, I'm to kind of show to like my parents, like, hey, you guys thought this was, stupid or, whatnot. And hey, look, I can actually make it a thing now,
Yeah.
you know. But it's like nowadays, it's like my goal. I mean, it's actually. I mean, it's not something new,
Mhm.
but like my goal is just every day. I want to make someone's day better. I don't care how that is, whether that's me doing something dumb and giving them a smile on their face, or giving them advice on something. I feel like that's like that's my goal, at least moving forward. I mean, that's obviously besides trying to go for partner, but the big goal for me, the big picture is for me just to make a difference, in someone's life, whether they're brand new, just coming in, or they've been part of the community for a while. You know, if I can make that impact on somebody every day or every time that I go live,
Yeah.
it means the world to me, because that means that I posted a YouTube video. I think when they had this whole affiliation partner, thing come up, and I say, I just want to put that positive impact on someone's life, just to make their day better, for them to, you know, just for them to change their lives for the better.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you're looking at that goal aspect, that's probably what I'm looking at right now as the big goal. I mean, I really don't particularly really have any goal per se. It's just, I guess I just had the fact that as long as somebody out there is having a good time and can use my content, to make their day better, whatever they're going through whatever situation they're going through,
Yeah.
and
An escape.
helping them out.
Yeah, like an escape, right? Like so it's just something that they can be like, "Oh, I didn't have to think about this horrible thing going on for, you know, a couple hours because I was just in here hanging out having a good time."
Right.
And you cuz like especially when you were talking about a platform like Twitch or a platform like YouTube, anything that can be live. Um you just got people who are trying to, I need some noise for the background while I'm working this shitty job. Like I need something that's, making me laugh so I can kind of get through this shift or get through, being sick or something like that. That kind of becomes more of the focus. And, it's funny because I just know how much mine has changed in 3 years, just over 3 years. So I can't imagine where it'll be in 3 more years, when I'm hitting 6 years or whatever's going on there. Like
Right.
it's my goal has always, even before streaming, like my goal with radio was like, okay, yeah, I've got this 4 hour shift on a Sunday night. It's my first time on, doing just regular jock stuff. I'm talking in between a couple songs an hour and, giving the time and all that shit. And, you know, you have these short windows in radio to be like, all right, you have 30 to 45 seconds to make this break interesting before you have to throw it back to music. And that's just the way the format worked on a rock radio station. And I was just kind of like, well, what can I do to just sometimes if it's just to be goofy, like you said, can I do something goofy to make someone laugh and snap them out of whatever funk they're in? Or is there a way for me to talk about something? And while they may not agree with me, maybe it makes someone just think differently about one aspect of some subject. It's like, yeah, maybe you're thinking this, but have you considered this? Like playing devil's advocate. I found like when I was in high school and in college, I really liked discussion based classes because you had the chance to flesh out a whole subject. Like one of my favorite classes, and it was like something I wasn't expecting in high school was like current issues, right? where we
Mhm.
basically came in, we had the teacher would hand out a few different copies of the newspaper for that day, and we'd go through and just pick out a couple stories and discuss them. And
Right.
it I found out very early that I was very interested in finding out, first of all, I didn't know I was doing this, but you're feeling out the audience, right? You're listening to what people are bringing up and what, opinions they're making. I'm like, what opinion isn't being made right now? Like, what is a side of this story that no one, we've gone through two or three other kids that have said, their opinion or their thoughts on what this story is. I'm like, so what can I left field these motherfuckers with? Like, what can I like come out and be like, have you considered the fact that this person could just be an asshole? Something like that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And and I really just like the way that, because I would find that all of a sudden it made two or three other people raise their hand that weren't raising their hand before that. So it's just forcing someone to make their wheels turn slightly different in their head has always been my goal with broadcasting, and I've kind of carried it over into Twitch, and that's a little different when you're talking about having a small break here and there to, I know I'm doing a 3 or 4 hour podcast or a 3 or 4 hour stream, and so you kind of sneak that stuff in there amongst regular talk, and it's interesting to
Mhm.
see how you can manipulate the direction the audience goes. Like, you have those things that you can bring up that will get the chat going about something, right? Like, maybe you bring up like, oh man, the only good pizza is a deep dish pizza, right? Like, all of a sudden,
Right, yeah.
all of a sudden, everybody's going bananas. Like, no, 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 you're not talking about thin crust, man. There's thin crust too. Like, I just love the fact that you can just turn your head for a second and be like, I'm gonna throw this out there, and then people just go nuts. I love when I hit those veins, so to speak.
Well, let me let me ask you this. This is off the topic question. Is it milk before cereal or cereal before milk?
I'm gonna drive you crazy. You ready?
Right.
I hate milk, so I eat it dry.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. No.
No, I actually hate milk, so I always eat my cereal dry every time.
That must leave your mouth really dry when
It
you do that.
Yeah, you definitely have to have something to drink with it, like
Okay.
water or something like that. Um,
Well, the funny thing is, like, I mentioned that too because for me, I don't know what it is. Like back in like when I was was growing up with my parents, um, they always tell they would teach me like, okay, pour your milk first and then put the cereal in there. I was like, why?
mhm.
It's like, well, if you pour the milk in first, then your cereal gets soggier first. I was like, okay, that makes sense. And nowadays, I sell it to everyone. They're like, no, 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 no. You gotta put the cereal first, then the milk. Because how will you know how much milk you need to put through? How much like I'm like, and it's like those type of like it's so funny how like you said like about the whole pizza thing. Like you make one little question about something like that, and then people in in your like either through like like Twitter or Instagram or social media, whatever, or even Twitch, you mention that one thing, and then everyone just starts showing up like, no, no, you do this to this. No, you should do this to this, and
Yeah.
it's like this back and forth between people. And hey, you're just as a broadcaster or just as a you're just sitting back here, just like you had like that little smug face, like I kind of made a oopsie by making the subject come out. But the funny thing is that, and going back to the streaming, is that uh not only you making that impact to someone's life, but you have people within your community, meaning getting to know each other,
Mhm.
not just you and the viewer. It's the viewer and the viewer talking to each other, and
Yeah.
yet and I'm it's actually really surprising. I actually have, and I don't know if this ever happened to you or anyone else, but like I've actually had two people literally meet through my community, and they are now living together. Like they're in a
Wow.
relationship.
Wow. Yeah,
And I'm
I don't
like,
think I've had anybody do that yet, but that's
and I,
incredible.
but it's so like it's so interesting. It's like you've and it also goes, well, another subject I won't really talk about. But
Mhm.
it's astonishing how like people within your community like talk, meet each other and actually develop a friendship that actually develops into a relationship that actually develop. I mean, there's actually people that met each other through Twitch and
Yeah.
actually got married to each other through
100%.
Twitch.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nuts.
But it's crazy how like you know you may not think as a streamer and that you're just talking to people and you always tell your community like hey, get to know each other, go join a Discord, talk to each other, and build friendships that way. And that's the great thing about the thing about I love about Twitch is that and it goes. I'll bring it back. I'll kind of bring Vincent Vega to this because I remember when I was playing DVD
Yeah.
and he came and he it, this is I think before he was partnered. He rated me and I'm like I was like, who the heck is this person? Like I was like, and it's so weird. It's like it's a first person's rating. Like who, mofug are you? Like who is this? I'm like, what is happening here? I'm like, and then you go into and then you go to the fact it's like and then you go to the fact and then up to now I'm like I'm close friends with Vince.
Yeah.
I'm good friends with Vince. You know, it just goes to show you like you can join some random community and just develop something great
Mhm.
that you may not think would ever happen, you know. And that's when I met you in Crucial at Boston, like I had like the best time.
Yeah.
Like like I've never had a sour beer. And so it's I'm being honest, I never had a sour beer. And so we had that in Boston. I was like, and now I have a little container in my I always have a container of sour beer in my fridge. I always.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna make it
wild
like
what people can introduce you to and stuff, you know? Um,
right.
yeah, Vince is super interesting. I found him later, but yeah, dude, he is salt of the earth type of guy for sure. He's a really good dude. You can tell he loves his community. He loves what he does. Um, I want to have him on here. Like we've talked a couple times. We just got to make it happen.
Right.
But he's such good people. He's like you just meet some folks and you're kind of like, all right, I can tell you're genuine. Like you meet some people on Twitch and you're kind of like, I don't know, and then you meet him in real life. You're like, okay, yeah, this person is good people. Um,
Mhm.
Vince is one of those dudes. Absolutely. Like he just is a wild man on his stream. He's a wild man, like just doing all of his antics and he's just
Yeah.
he makes anybody you sit down and have watch like my wife has come walking through before and I'll have Vince on while I'm doing work or something like that. And more than one time she's been like, this guy's fucking funny. And it's incredible when you get to meet these folks because he's like not quite the same when you meet him in person.
Mhm.
He's a really laid back, reserved dude. Um, and I've kind of honestly meeting you like you're pretty damn laid back, easy to talk to, and then you tune in on your stream and it's just insanity. It's insanity, which I love. Like it's interesting to see like when you get to meet other streamers or meet other people who do radio or podcasting, like when you meet them sometimes they're exactly who they are on stream, sometimes they're just a little bit of an amplification of who they are on stream, sometimes they're the exact opposite. um I would say that for the most part the people that I've loved to stick around to just have that laid back energy that comes with just wanting to be creative and being comfortable at home. And then when you're out and about, you're just kind of like, I've always been like a sit back and let's watch the room for a little while type of person.
Right.
And then I'm like, okay, I can see who I want to go talk to now. Like then you kind of start venturing your way out into the room and stuff like that. I kind of felt the same about you. I feel like you're very much a like, I'm gonna take in the room and then we're gonna go at it.
Uh, can't go out of how. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh
No,
man.
I definitely feel the same way. I mean, it's as I said, like it's surprising how like I know you probably touched on this before too. It's surprising how like Twitch like has kind of brought me out. Like made me like yeah, I'm like I'm chill when you for you that met me IRL, but it's interesting how like like I can see myself like, going back to like 6 years. Like it's interesting how I was when I first started to now.
Hmm.
It's like it's such a transition, like a transitional change, and it's building a community and now becoming from like, oh, this guy's like chilled, laid back to okay, if you know this person, he's lewd as hell. He's gonna tell you the lewdest jokes. He's gonna tell you how it is. He's not gonna sugarcoat shit. He's just gonna, he's gonna tell you some things that you probably never heard before or never ever want to hear before. But it's like you get that, and that's like I tell people too, like if you're like a first time person that wants to go broadcast, like be be open, I mean, not too open to say, hey, okay, my social security number is this, my credit card information is this, I live in, whatever.
Hmm.
But it's like bring yourself out to be, just don't be shy, because it goes back to to the fact, like, if I feel like, I was having this conversation with someone else, and they were well, actually, my community manager, her Twitch name is Megazord, and
Hmm.
she's a community manager for our stream team. She was doing like VOD reviews on her channel, which I think is a really cool a really cool idea. It's like you have somebody that you sit there and you like do a review of like, hey, I love your stuff. Maybe you need to tweak this a little. Maybe you need to tweak that. Maybe you need to change this here and there.
Yeah.
And it's like actually, I kind of want to do it too. Like, I kind of want to like sit like, a person who's been here doing this for 6 years, should know a thing or two about streaming. It's not
Sure.
like I'm just sitting here looking all pretty, you know, either waxing my legs, from time to time, or was it waxing my nose hairs, or doing drag cosplays. But we know um, but it's like it's like you want to and that's the thing too. Like, and one of the things I like doing is I like to, like, going back to something I said before, is that share your like. I feel like I'm an NBA vet, or I'm a pro sport veteran.
Right.
Like, I'm the one that's teaching now, like the rookies, like this is what you should do, this is what you should look into, and
Hmm.
some people think that it's like, well, does that mean you're done, you're gonna retire from doing what you're doing? Like, no, I just like giving advice. And there have been times where people like I know I can name a few people who I've helped out, stream wise, and they're blowing up bigger than I am. I'm like,
Yeah.
but hey, you know what? That just goes to show you that you know it, for someone like myself that giving them good advice and stuff, they're being successful to what they're doing, and now they can have they can have a like they have a they can do this and do that now.
Yeah.
And it's like I know it sounds like I'm like rambling all over the
No,
place,
you're fine. Go ahead.
but it's like it's very humbling to me, like when I can like give somebody advice, and I look at them now, like I don't know. Let me ask you, like, have you ever had a situation where you found somebody and you were watching them like when from like not the very beginning, but you start watching them when they're not partnered yet, and now let's say so and so later, now they're partnered. So you kind of like join their venture into going from someone who's starting off, not starting off fresh, but like who's just you know done this for a little bit, and now is starting to become big. I don't know if you
Yeah.
ever had this situation or
I
not.
mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got people that I currently watch and I actively take part in their communities that they're blowing up and they're very close to becoming partners. And I've got there's definitely some other folks that I've watched before they were partner and after they became partner, and it's been really cool. It's interesting to see, honestly, how many people hit that mark and hit that goal, and then it's almost like they're exhausted and they walk away from it sometimes. You're just kind of like,
I get that feeling too.
oh,
Yeah.
like I'm just like, wow, like is I don't know if it's just burnout or if it's just they get there and they don't realize some people I think don't realize that yeah, that's a goal to get to, but the the work's not over after that,
Right.
right? Like they don't realize, oh, there's in a lot of cases there's more work to do because people get so hyped up leading up to you becoming a partner. I've talked about this with Ape Fist before. they get so hyped leading right up to it that they're like, I want to get this person there. I want to help them get there. They're gifting subs. They're bringing people in. They're doing all this. They're donating. And then you reach partner, and there's a large mentality of the community that's just like, well, now they have the check mark, so they're good. Like they've got a paycheck now, and it's just like it's not like that.
No, it's not. No, it's definitely not.
And I think that I've seen some people push really hard and really, really stretch themselves thin, and then they get there and they're kind of like, oh, I got to go do something else now. And some of them don't come back, and some of them just come back, later, and they try to revamp everything, and it's just kind of like there's a there's with any creative venture, and I think with anything in life, there you have to have a realistic expectation of what's going on around you. Like you put in your application for partner. You're going to be excited if you get it, but I think the preparation needs to be okay. Am I going to be deflated and defeated if they come back and say, "Hey, we're not going to partner you yet?" You know, um, and I think a lot of people just put their eggs in weird baskets sometimes, or they have an idea of like, I'm going to hit partner and things are going to just shoot through the roof, and it's just kind of like that's not always the case. Like it's going to be still hard work, and I think that some people are surprised by that.
And that brings to another point. It's like I feel like I don't know. I go. This is a bad thing with me. Like I am on my phone like almost all the time,
Mhm.
and I'm always keeping up with social media, like especially Twitter. And I scroll down, I scroll, and I see this person hit partner, this person hit partner, this person hit partner. And first of all, it kind of goes to me as like I was like, this is great. At the
Mhm.
same time, but then it goes back to like devil's advocate, like some like to your point. It's like, well, some people hit it, and then they're like, and then either A, they like do something very differently,
Mhm.
or I love the whole like, hey, if I hit partner, I'm gonna make this a full-time job. I'm like,
Ugh.
did you realize like I like I'm this is
Ugh.
it's not really funny because the funny thing is I my IRL job, I work in like accounting and auditing,
Mhm.
and I still haven't filed my tax return yet. And I'm like, but it's interesting like how like you like for you have you put in like you get the information from like Twitch, you put in your tax return, and you look at like you're like, if this is my only income, you look at the end like, oh my god, like if you had like no write-offs or anything for like for Twitch, it's like, oh dear Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, and that's like actually kind of how I felt like when I put on my information. I'm like, oh god. So like that kind of told me so I'm glad I don't do this full time. um
Yeah.
but it goes back to the fact when like there's people that go for partner and they push for it so hard, and then as soon as they hit, they're like, yeah, like you said, I'm good. I think I'm good, and I'm just gonna just chill for now. I'm like, and there's some people that hit it, and then like they vanish, and
Yeah.
I'm like, and it goes back to the point where like there's there's definitely people out there that stream and they push a partner and they legitimately want to do more, push more content, do more stuff for the community because they're partner.
Yeah.
Because I mean, some people, I mean, there's things where I've seen how like people will tell me like, well, I want to go for partner because that will show companies to make me as a sponsor or a partner or an affiliate, so I can, hey, I have this code for uh XYZ chair or something like that, or XYZ energy, energy drink, or
Mhm.
some sort of product to say, hey, I can't get that because I'm not a partner streamer. And
Right.
I think to some streamers that they see it that way, but honestly, that's false because you can get anything you want,
Yeah.
as and that's not just streaming wise. That's personally wise. You could if you don't have to be this. If you want to go for it, go for it. Don't think it's like, oh, I'm restricted because I'm not this, or I'm restricted because I'm not that. And I think the people that are streaming, they think that's like, well, I had to have a check mark so I can get this. Like, no, that's not the case. Like some people, like going back to what I said before, oh, I need a check mark to validate myself. Like, no, that's not the case.
Yeah.
You know, your success is your success, everyone's successful or view of success is different
Hmm.
among everyone else. Some people view their success as the check mark. Some people view their success as something else. And I hate it when like people that get partner and they don't push more after that. It's like you said, it's like, oh, I got it, I'm done. And
Yeah.
then you have people in the background who are working their, butts off to try to go for it. And they already told the community, like, hey, once I get it, we're gonna do more things. There's gonna be more stuff I can get, I can help you guys and support the community.
Yeah.
And I feel like those people should be getting it, but it's like, well, you don't like it's like, well, you don't have this requirement, or you don't have this requirement. And then and then they're shutting them down. And then the people who get it, they're like, oh, I got it, yay, yay. Like, and then they're like, and then poof,
There you go.
like a smoke bomb, like they're gone.
Well, I know for
They
a
disappear.
while you were really a big proponent for like there needs to be more taken into account when it comes to picking out partners for a platform like Twitch. There needs to be more taken into account like than just those three metrics, right? Um, and it's weird because knowing people who are actively applying for partnership and getting declined for this reason or that reason, there's clearly more than just hitting those three metrics um, that are so vital to it's viewership, it's time spent, and what's the other thing? It's I don't know. There's
They
three,
streamed, I think, or was or
yeah, days streamed. Like it's there's so many more things to it. Obviously, otherwise, if you hit those three things, then they should be handing you partner, right? That's kind of the flaw of like it still comes down to someone looking at your metrics in your account and being like, all right, is this worth doing? Like, so there's clearly more metrics than just those three things to get qualified to apply. Um, but it seems to be very arbitrary. Like, we're just going to watch you for a few more weeks and let you apply again and we'll see how it goes. Right.
right.
And I know part of that has to be like, you don't want to, before the problem was you could get rated by a ton of people and then have the requirements in no time. And then they started looking at that closer, and I understand that, right? You don't want to
Hmm.
just be able to cheese your way into it. But like I know people that worked hard and had no raids, and they've built their community up, and they still get denied. Like it just feels like there's transparency up to a certain point when it comes to
Right.
Twitch, and then all of a sudden there's just this wall of like, well, for reasons we're gonna say no for right now, you know, and that's deflating for some people. They're working really hard to get there, and that can be deflating, and then it's even more deflating. Like to your point of now you watch these people, they get it and they're happy. They're like, yeah, we got partner, and then like all of a sudden they go from 4 or 5 days streaming to 3 days streaming, 1 or 2 days streaming, and then they're
They're not.
gone. Then they're
Right.
gone. Like it's weird because the only thing I can think is that it's kind of like when like I have a bad habit of picking up like all these little side hobbies. Like I want to know how to do this or that, right? And I'll figure out how to do it. And then by the time I figure it out, like, okay, that's how you do that thing. And then I turn my attention to something else. Like that's the only thing I can think that is like is someone's like, I'm gonna hit this goal. And once they hit it, they're okay with like, all right, we're gonna do something else now. That's I guess. Or they've stressed themselves out and they just don't know how to recover from that, you know?
Well, that's the thing. The other thing too. Like a lot of people. I mean, I knew back in the day when I would play DVD. Like I would play. That was like how they had the whole main game
Mm.
perspective.
Mhm.
I understand how like you build it. You want to build your community because hey, I play this game. If you enjoy it, you should watch me. I feel like that's also burnout to people because that's definitely burned me out from Dead by Daylight because it got to a point when I first started playing it and streaming. It's like this is amazing. This is amazing. And I'm building a community really quickly because of it. But then it gets to a point where it's like, well, then this new person comes in, and then this new person comes in.
Mhm.
They're playing DVD and Mania, and then it's like oversaturating the market when you stream DVD, and it's
Yeah.
like to a point where it's like it feels like more of a job than anything. And that's the thing too that I've gotten hit with. Like I feel like when if I'm maining something for a while and it's like It feels like repetitive and more repetitive, and it's like it feels like, and then I don't want to stream because it's killing me inside. I feel like it's more of a job than making it fun,
Right.
which is another. I think I tell a lot of people, it's like, don't make, when you stream, don't make this as a job. Don't try to stream to say, hey, this person's making so much money. They're getting so many subs and bits
Hmm.
and donos. It's like, I want that. Yeah, but you know how long it takes, some people to get to that point?
Yeah.
And especially if you're starting now where the market's even more saturated. And I feel like that because of the pandemic, and I'm not sure if you feel the same way, that like there's so much more people doing content because of the pandemic. Because they're like, well, I don't either they lost their jobs, like, well, what am I gonna do now?
Yeah.
So, oh, let me do YouTube, or let me do Twitch.
Mm.
And it's like, and that's why, like, I'm just the years I've been doing this, I'm like, I'm just glad this is a hobby. I'm just having fun, you know. From whatever support I get, monetary wise, is amazing,
Yeah.
and I appreciate it. And it's just like, but some people are there like, oh, I'm gonna stream because I'm gonna make money. Like, no, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that if that's your attitude, it's not gonna work. You
Podcast
know.
was the same way. People were just like, I've been doing this podcast forever now. Like I said, we're on episode 366. I don't make any money on this podcast. Like I just don't. And so people will be like, so if I jump in and do a podcast, like when am I going to make some money? It's like, ugh, you just don't need a podcast. Like this, let's rewind. Like it's just not that way. It's the same thing as Twitch where it's like, no, man, like you got to watch the slippery slopes. Like a the slipperiest of slopes to me is having a main game, like, because I think that yes, you might find a niche and you might be pulling some people in that show up regularly, but there's a lot of people who just show up for the game. They'll show up for the streamer too, but they show up for the game. And you know just as well as anybody, you got those people like, I don't care what you play, I'm gonna be there. And the second you switch away from your main game, you know that you've switched away from your main game, right?
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're
Oh
like
yeah.
you're like, oh, I'm definitely not pulling the same numbers, and that's why it's like more important than anything else. Like especially if you're talking to someone who's like, I'm thinking about getting in and doing this thing. It's like, okay, well, don't marry yourself to a game. Pick content out that goes with your personality, because that's what's going to be the thing that differentiates you playing this game from this guy playing this game. There's a reason why people tune into the certain folks they tune into to watch, and they don't tune into you. A, because visibility is tough on a platform like this. It really is. But B, like it's it's really tough. Like especially now with as many people. Let's use Dead by Daylight as an example. With as many people that are out there making content for Dead by Daylight, it's really tough to do something that A, hasn't been done, or B, isn't being done better. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like it's tough to compete with that because you've had people that have a shit ton of time in the game and have a shit ton of time they've built their own, gimmicks and bits into what they do with it. So, I mean, I would say starting out, man, don't don't claim to have a main game. Like you can play a game as much as you want, but don't make that like everything you stake yourself on, because A, by the time you maybe find success and get close to that partnership, you're going to be burnt. You're going to be
Oh
crispy.
yeah.
And cuz you've seen it, I've seen it. We know people. They made it and they are crispy on the game. They're like, I cannot touch this game again. I have to go somewhere else and that's what happens to a lot of partners. They find something that works, or people that become partners. They find something that works. They ride that horse up to the finish line, and then they might come back to the game, but they definitely take a break from it. They're definitely like, I gotta step away and do some variety for a couple weeks. Um, I mean, that's the most important thing, is like do what comes into your head as content to you. Do the things that you want to enjoy, right? Do the
Hmm.
things that you want to that you would watch. And then that finds its audience. Like I've switched. I was a main game person for a long time doing DBD, and I still play a lot of one game, which is Hunt Showdown, but I'm not afraid to just go and do something else. And if that means lower numbers, that means lower numbers. But I'm in the same boat as you, where I've got a day job, so this isn't a big deal to me. If I my viewership drops for a couple of weeks because I'm playing Resident Evil, like that's fine. It doesn't bother me. It's got to be such a harder decision to make when that's your livelihood. That's tough. That's a tough decision. I'm glad it's not my decision to make.
Right. And to your point, it's like, like a lot of people like a lot of people have asked me like, well, Tech, how the heck do you do a day-to-day job? Then you stream for how many hours? And then do you ever sleep? I'm like, well, yeah, I do. Well, obviously I'll have some sleep. It's not a lot, but I sleep.
Mhm.
And then but everyone keeps on coming back and say, like, well, how do you do it? It's like, well, here's how I put it. Like, my day-to-day job, pays the bills, puts food on my table, it's reality. My s- I see streaming as a step away from reality.
Yeah.
And it's that helps me, keep, not I mean, it helps me keep my sanity basically.
Mhm.
Because sometimes a day at a job could be amazing. There's gonna be days where it's fucking shitty.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like there's gonna be days where it's very slow. There's gonna be days where it's very busy. It fluctuates. Sometimes you'll have weeks where it's very slow, or whatever the case may be. And it gets to a point where it's like, you know what? And it's just like, well, I'm done. I need to shut down this computer. But I go to another computer and I do this.
Yeah.
But this gives me joy. This, as I said, it's a break from reality to another reality. You know,
Yeah.
and I tell that to people too. It's like, it's to have fun. Make it your own. And it's like, and I tell us to the community, like, I spend more time with you than I do in my IRL family.
Mhm.
Not because I don't want to spend time with my IRL family. It's just because either they're busy, they have their own lives, and I
Yeah.
don't want to, butt into it. So I'm with you guys. And it's very personal to me. And going back to the whole, like, going back to the whole day-to-day job, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of it. If I did stream full time, I feel like I would change. I don't like I don't know if you would think the same way. It's like, if I make this as a job, then there's gonna be a lot of things that I know will definitely change. Like, well, I'll definitely force more upon this, and hey, I'll have more. Like, I need, have monthly, donor goals or sub goals, or whatever the case may be. Whereas this is just more nonchalant. Hey, I'm doing this just, to have fun. So
Yeah.
I feel like, going back to the whole partner thing, I hope I think I probably mentioned it before. Is like, a lot of people, once soon as they hit the partners, like, I'm quitting my job. I'm gonna be doing this. Boom, I'm done. It's like, and like, I know one person who was it is actually, he actually put his 2 weeks notice and is gonna be doing full time streaming. And then listen, I give all my, I give all the luck and all that kind of stuff. I know I can't do it.
Yeah.
I know I personally can't do this full time because there's going to be a lot of things that is like, well, if I make this a job, there's how am I going to put food on the table? How am I going to pay my bills? Or how am I going to do this? Well, I now rely on my community more, to do that. And it's like, I feel like, you know, I don't want to force my community to do that, to do stuff like that for me. Like,
Yeah. It.
nowadays it's just like, if you do it, I appreciate it, and it's
Yeah.
more than I can add. And I tell people too, like, all I ask is you have a good time, and you're enjoying the chat, you're enjoying the community, and like, people like, I think some people don't realize the power of lurking. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, people will tell me, well, and this is a big pet peeve of mine. It's like, well, Tech, you're not in my channel. You don't watch me. How do you know?
Yeah.
Do you like? How do you know that I may be in like an alt account, not looking at your content? Because that's the reality. Like, when I go to someone shit, I may not be talking, but I'm watching, and I tell it to other people too. It's like you never know who's watching you. There could be some person that just say, "Hey, this is a recommended channel, and I want to go check you out."
Yeah.
And then, and that's a, and that's the thing too, where it's like I don't know, I don't know if you had this debate or not as well, but like I love how people they recently get partnership. They go into someone's going to someone brand new, trying to help them out. Like, oh, you have a check mark. You're gonna steal my viewers. Oh, you're gonna steal my community. Like, really?
There's people who have complexes about that where they purposely turn theirs off when they go to other channels because they don't want to bring that vibe in, you know? They're like, I'm not here to steal people. I just want to, hang out or whatever. Um, but yeah, I can never understand being mad. Like, I understand if someone comes in and they're self promoting and they're like, oh yeah, come to my channel. I'm doing blah, blah, blah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
get that. That's completely different. But yeah, there are some people who are just like, even to the point of like, I don't want that person's emotes in here. Like, and you're kind of like, what? Like, you don't want their, they'll like ban the person's emotes or something like that. And you're just kind of like, that's just a level of insecurity that I cannot fathom, where it's just kind of like, that's not why I'm here. And I'm with you on like, you don't know who could be there. Like, there was one time, I forget who it was, but I was in a channel and we were just hanging out, watching, whoever play. And then this partner
Mhm.
streamer, there was a really big partner streamer for that game, just kind of chimed in on a conversation like, oh yeah, I've been here for your whole stream. Like, you just never know who's chilling in, in the background. And if you're watching that list, then you're not focusing on your content. Like, if you're watching that list and watching that number, first thing I tell anybody is like, yeah, just turn on the mic, turn on the camera, start streaming, and start getting a feel for it. But B, turn off the the chat, not the chat window, the
Viewer list.
numbers, the viewer list, all that stuff. You
Right.
know, treat the stream like I do every stream is if there's 500 people watching, 20 people watching, 1,000 people
Exactly.
watching. Like, you
Exactly.
do it the same way. Like, you just do the thing you're gonna do. So I don't care if I blew up. I know some things would change if for some reason all of a sudden 500 people started showing up at my in my chat every
Oh,
single day,
obviously, yeah.
but I would be very close to what I do now for the small audience I do it for. Like, it'd be very similar because that's just how I've honed my particular type of stream.
Right. And it goes back to the it also goes back to the point where like I know people who like who would give a host and be like, oh, I'm sorry, Tech, I only have like 2 people to bring to your channel. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's 2 more people to enjoy to enjoy the content. Why would I care how many? Listen, you take the opportunity and you take the chance to bring your people over to my community, or how if it's your stream, how people would host you up. And so like it's you can't. I don't like it how people like streamers will look at like, "Oh, I can only send so many people over." That's just
Yeah.
more people to to hang to build your community upon.
Mhm.
And it's even some people's like, well, I can only host you. I wasn't streaming. I can host you, but that's also exposure because somebody may look at your channel and say, hey, who you like? Oh, you're hosting Lopez. Oh, you're hosting Tech. Well, let me go check them out.
Yeah.
And then they come into your channel and they're hooked.
Yeah.
It's like, and that goes back to also the thing I tell people is like, like what you said, like it could be 20 people, it could be 5 people, it could be 10 people. That's 5, 20, 10 people that go to your channel to spend their time, enjoying your content.
Mhm.
Okay. It's and I know people say, well, it's hard to talk to people when I don't think there's anybody here. You never know. Like you never know who's watching it because like and it goes back to the whole like, if let's say regardless of whoever it comes in, whether it's a partner streamer or affiliate, whatever the case may be, if they come in to say to talk to me and say hi to me. It's like, what? Do I care? I mean, like, does it I mean, I understand that for some people it has like, the insecurity complex. I get that.
Yeah.
But like I feel like you should look at it as like, wow, this person's coming in to, to any person. It doesn't matter if they're partner or not. they're coming by, they see your channel, they like your content, they're there for you, you know?
Yeah.
They're not there to take your, take your people or whatever the case may be. And
Mhm.
I just think that I feel like it's sometimes an honor, like in that case, like, hey, you're bringing your people over to me. I couldn't ask for anything more, in type of ordeal.
Yeah, there's a weird sometimes people almost do like a reverse gatekeeping on themselves of like I don't I don't feel like I deserve to I don't know, deserve to host my little bit of people over because I think it'd be, it wouldn't look good. And I'm just kind of like, dude, just do whatever. Like, if you want to share your folks, if you enjoy my content or I enjoy your content, I'm gonna go and like hand people off to you. And I mean, yeah, people might not stay, it might not be their bag, but
Hmm.
then there's that one or two people. Like that's what your viewership's built off of. Think about, let's say you're a mid-sized streamer, right? Let's say you're not a partner, but you're not quite halfway to affiliate. You've still
Right.
all those people most likely didn't just show up the same day. Like one person dropped in and then they stuck around. And then a few other people dropped in and maybe two of those stuck around, the other person went away. Like it's a slow burn, like it's a slow build to get to that point of having like that stable of people that are just you can always count on or that are going to be around for one or two streams a week and it's just not instantaneous and I think that's the trap that people fall into. That's the thing that even like freshly partnered streamers fall into. I brought up Ape Fist. He's been on the podcast a couple times and I talked to him, we DM all the time too. And it's like, I think that some people are just so hell bent on getting that instant satisfaction. Well, I've been streaming for 3 months. Like I should have more people than this. It's like, dude,
Not,
like
no.
the biggest streamers in the world had five people watching, had one person watching. I mean, I know several like we both know Morph, right?
Yep.
Morph, I sat down and talked with him the first TwitchCon I went to and he was like, "Yeah, man, I remember my first few streams. It was maybe one or two people
And
and
my bot.
and my bot and he's like one of those was me typing to myself asking myself questions like it's like giving myself things to talk about and like there's nothing wrong with that. Use that time because here's the thing, you think you're ready when you jump in, like you've been doing this for a couple months, you think you're ready to talk to even 40, 50 people, much less 500 people at once. Like you need to just slowly turn the dial up on that because you know as well as I do, being rated by Tim, right? And one of your first stream, right? So you
Mhm.
get rated by Tim, you don't have the skills to talk to that many people getting dropped into your chat at once. Like
Oh
you're
yeah.
just trying to
Mhm.
be like, do I focus on the game? Do they want to see me just be shit at a game, or do I just turn and
Yeah.
talk to them? And I've been in that situation too, where someone's dropped a raid, and I'm just kind of like flabbergasted, like I don't know what's happening right now, but I'm gonna try to play the game and talk to you guys. And you don't know where to look. It's like acting. I don't know what to do with my hands. Like I don't know what to do with my
Mhm. Oh
hands.
yeah.
Um, so the growth portion of that, those days are important. Like the days of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 viewers is just as important, probably more important because then you get the chance to hone your skills. Spend instead of fretting about your viewer number, like work on talking to yourself and narrating what you're doing because that is a skill that you need. Like being able to talk the few people that are in your chat through the game and not just leave silence out there is way more important of a skill to hone early on. So later on, when you've got a bunch of people, then you can turn and talk to folks. And there's always going to be, I don't care how many people are in chat, there's always a lull. Then you can return to those skills of being like, all right, well, I need to pick up this ammo because we got to go over here and capture this point or something like that. Like you just have to be able to flow in and out of that stuff, and you can't do that in a matter of 3 months. That is years of built up skills.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's funny how like when I in with my IRL job,
Mm.
I would talk to myself all the time. And it's funny how my coworkers would tell me like, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." It's like, Are you sure? Because you're talking to yourself." It's like, the only reason I'm talking to myself is so I can figure out the solution. Because if I don't talk to myself, I'm just gonna sit here looking like a dumbass in front of my monitor, trying to figure out a formula in a spreadsheet of like 1,000 numbers, and I'm like, what am I missing? And then I tell my and I tell the community the same thing. It's like, I don't mind talking to myself. I can talk to myself all the time. It may look weird,
Mhm.
but hey, it's better than staying silent. Just as a broadcaster, you never want to stay silent and not talk, because it's just like, because if you're gonna stay silent and not talk and streaming a game, then why stream and just play the game? Like, I
Right.
know, like, one person like would be like, "Well, I'm trying to focus on a game because this is a really crucial moment, and I really can't talk to chat."
Yeah.
That may be true, and I understand the competitiveness to it, but it's like, you kind of, if you're gonna do that, then talk and then tell your chat like what you're doing. Like,
Yeah.
say, hey, like you're saying before, we're going to this point. We need to defend. Like, I'm defending this
Mhm.
because there may be somebody brand new coming. Like, I don't understand this game. What are you doing? Like, what are you supposed to play? Or like, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
So there's gonna be times where it's like, hey, maybe you're not gonna talk to chat, but you're at least talking and explaining stuff, because that's like, again, why stream if you're not gonna talk? You might as well just hit the record button on your OBS
Put it on
and
YouTube. Yeah.
upload to YouTube.
Right. It's but even then, like, there's a whole finesse when you're talking about YouTube. There's a whole different finesse to that. Of like, there's a formula that works mostly, but I've found that with especially with Twitch and with YouTube, like, there's no rhyme or reason. Like, you ever go to, like, drop into a channel and you're like, how the fuck are there 10,000 people in here? I don't know what's going on. Like, like, I don't get how this is where it's at. And it's not for you to, for anybody to understand right off the bat, but like, it's it's just wild at what does work and what doesn't work. And you could find someone doing the exact same thing and it doesn't work for them, but it works for this person over here. It's a weird combination of dedication and luck. I think a lot of luck.
Oh, it's a lot of luck.
The right eyes
I
seeing
mean,
you at the right
it's also
time.
dedication too, but yeah.
Yeah,
The other thing too,
this.
like people tell them, like, I feel like what has hindered me probably is my lewdness, recently.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I tell myself, like, if I change that, then I'm changing my whole concept of my content.
Mhm.
And then I'm gonna be like, "Well, then what do I do?" And it's like, so either A, you're okay with it, or B, you're not okay with it. Just like any other or any other streamer. If you don't like what they're doing, then why watch?
Mhm.
Or why complain about it? Or why bring out any negativity about it? If you don't like it, then don't watch. And guess what? I'm okay with that. I like I am who I am. We are who we are. And if if we change it into something else, and it's like, well, then now you're a new person. So, like, who are you? You solidify that identity when, like, as someone that's building up content, you create a niche,
Yeah.
just to kind of, to bring people in. But at the same time, not everyone's gonna understand it. Not everyone's gonna like it. You're not gonna be able. And that's the thing too. I tell people is that as a broadcaster, you're not going to please everybody. Not
Yeah.
everyone's gonna not everyone's gonna enjoy your content. Not everyone's going to, you know, even if, let's say, even if we had, you and I had like 10,000 people in our chat, and then some people come in like, well, how do you have that many people? Or, like, why are so many people watching you? It just, maybe you're just that, maybe that's that one person that just doesn't get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's true.
regardless of, like, the numbers, like, it just, for me, it's like, if I were to change to something else, then I know a lot more people are gonna be like, well, tech has changed. So, like, well, maybe I don't maybe want to be here anymore. You know, so
Yeah.
it's either A, you like it, or A, you don't. I'm not gonna please. I'm not gonna please it. We're not gonna please everybody as a content creator. You don't like the content, you don't have to be there. But,
Yeah.
and that's why that's the thing, going back to, like, lurkers, is like, some people will lurk in there and not say anything, but they enjoy the content. And then a lot of people will say, well, Tech, you have so many people in here, and then it's like, well, no one's talking. Well, people want to lurk. Like, what do you want me, like, what do you want me to do? I'm not going to force people to, talk and stuff. I can make a suggestion to say, hey, let's talk about this topic. Pineapple on pizza. What do you
Right.
think? And it's like, wait, you put pineapple pizza? And then there goes the conversation.
Yep.
It's like, you never know. It could be some trigger where it hits somebody like, wait, what did, like, and that's the thing too. Like, that's why I say lewd stuff. Like, I'll say something to like, and then someone's like, "What the hell did you just say?" I'm like, "Oh, you heard what I said." And then there's the conversation just keeps on going.
Yeah, yeah, it's I mean, you got to look at it from every angle when you're trying to figure out what works for you and what works for other streamers, and that's what's important is if you're the one creating the content, it's got to resonate with you. It has to be something that you're passionate about, which I'm mostly passionate about talking to people and having conversations. So like it's the game is so secondary to me. It's just what's happening in the background. I wouldn't play it if I didn't enjoy it, but for me, it's not about quality gameplay at all. For other people, it
Same, yeah.
is. It's all about the expectation you set. And if you go around, you've been doing it for 6 years and you change things quickly. Like you can change, you can evolve, and I think you should always be open to evolving your content. But if you go around changing things quickly, you risk alienating people that have been supporting you for a long time. And yes, it's your channel to do whatever you want with, but you have to be cognizant and not be upset when you change something and someone goes away. Like I think there's a lot of people who don't understand that when they hit that partnership or they hit this milestone and they're like, "All right, I'm going to be streaming this other game now." And they're like, "But everybody said they'd be here." It's like, "But you can't be surprised if you just turn
You
on a
can't
dime."
expect that though. That's the thing.
Yeah, you turn on a dime, then you're gonna lose some people. People are gonna fall out of the cart. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just the way it it's just the way it works. Like moving to a different game, like after doing the main thing with Dead by Daylight for a long time was I expected that because I was just kind of like, I know I need to do something different because I could just tell by the way I felt after streams or whether way I felt during streams and when I went back and watched my streams, like I could tell that I wasn't having fun as much fun as I used to have. Um,
Exactly.
and so you gotta be honest with yourselves. Like it's time to change. And I knew moving from I tried to do it a transition slowly. Like I'd be like, all right, we're gonna do a couple days and we're gonna do these other games these other days, right? We started slowly working in some variety. And then eventually you can make the full switch to another game or do something like that. But you got to be ready for to a lose some people, and then the people that do come along with you, you have to help them out. Like I spent a lot of time explaining how Hunt Showdown works to my audience because they didn't know. I mean, they knew DBD, they
Right.
didn't know Hunt Showdown. So I had to be like, all right, so here's what we're doing. We're getting this, we're doing that. And at the same time, that's allowing you to do your self talk, right? Like to narrate what you're doing, and it's helping them understand. And once your audience understands what you're doing, that's usually the reason why people tune away because they don't know what's going on, right? So if you're
Hmm.
helping them understand it, then they're more likely to stick around because you took the time to explain it to them, and now they know, oh, he's going up here because the bounty's over here and he needs to kill the bounty and then kill any hunters that are in between here and there. And they kind of get that now. Whereas before, I think the reason why DBD is just as successful as it is, and the reason why it's such a good game to stream is because you can tune in at any point and know exactly what's going on if you know the basics of the game. I know there's
Right.
this many generators left. I know that this person's dead. I know that this person's on there, is injured right now. Like all the information is there for you to take in, and not every video game's like that. You drop into the middle of an FPS game, you don't know who's winning, you don't know who's losing, or you don't know how far through a level they are. It can be anything like that. So yeah, a different game can be, it's not spoon fed to you, can be very tough to watch. Like anybody can drop in and watch Tetris because I know, oh, this guy's getting fucked on because he's about to fill up the damn screen and he doesn't have a way out. Like it's
Right.
the
Yeah.
understanding, right? So it's a tough move, and I think people don't understand that there's just small nuances to making changes. You just have to slowly turn the boat. You can't turn the boat all at once.
No, it's the same thing. Like when people like when they come by, it's like, hey, usually like, hey, I love that. I mean, I was like, you have to expect it when you change games. Like, oh, Tech, do you play DVD anymore? Or hey, do you play this anymore? It's like, no, I don't. I switched over to this, and then they'll say, well, what's this? It's called Phasmophobia. It's ghost hunting. Well, how do you what do you do?
Mhm.
So again, I understand. I completely get that. But at the end of the day, too, it's like I said before, like DVD just felt like work. It didn't feel it wasn't fun for me anymore. It was more like I kind of like went through the motions type of ordeal. or like I know with Faz it has a more of an RNG standpoint that anything can happen. So I could just be like, I could just be walking casually down a hallway, then the ghost pops up and I shit my pants. You know, it's like, or I'll say some or ask some stupid question to the spirit box and they'll start hunting. I'm like, oh god, like, that's like it's like that type of stuff that you would never expect when somebody plays like a game like that. Like that's the type of like it goes back to the whole like niche. Like everyone can play DVD. They can play a game, but how do you integrate that to your stream to make you unique?
Hmm.
You know, and it's
Yeah.
even for me, it's still kind of tough with Faz. But you know, it's a lot tougher with Dead by Daylight because almost everyone and their mother is playing DVD. You know, it's like
Yeah.
everyone and their mother is playing, Valorant or Call of Duty. It's like how do you separate yourself from others?
Yeah.
And
The
that goes back. It goes back to like the whole like the complex of you comparing yourself to other streamers. Like hey, this person's playing the same game I am, but they're doing way better. Well, maybe there's something that they're doing differently that's their niche, and that's why they're blowing up.
hmm
But you can't like it's. And I do this all the time. Like I always compare myself to. I was like, oh, compare my content to someone else's content. It's like, well, what's different? Like, why are more people watching them? And it affects you negatively. And I keep on telling myself that you are who you are.
hmm
Just keep at what you're doing. People are there to watch you.
Yeah.
If they're there to watch you, they're there to watch you. I mean, could they have a tab open for another person? Absolutely. You know, I like how people think like, well, you were here to watch this. I understand that, but I know also at the end of the day that you're also probably watching other broadcasters. It's like
Yeah.
helping them out, working their channel and stuff like that. So
Yeah. And you can't
I
get too in your head.
it was it a tough decision for me to go from DVD to Faz?
Mhm.
Yes. Do I regret it? No,
Yeah.
because it's a change of pace. It was actually a very nice change of pace. To be honest with you, I'm still technically in the horror genre, but it's just different. You know.
Yeah. It's refreshing. Like you need to be refreshed. Like think about like especially if you are someone who's considering this. Like think about the fact that yeah, you may have these games you love, but at some point you want to go play something different. It's the same way when you're streaming, and you have to be you have to just be very cognizant of the fact that like if you're not enjoying it, just take a break. Like it may not be that it's not never has to be the fact that it's over, but maybe you just need a break, and there's nothing wrong with that. Um, and you brought up like you know the concern of like, well, I want people to watch me and not be lurk. It's like, well, but I know you lurk other tabs. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to kind of look at your behaviors too. Like I know that I keep two or three tabs open. A lot of times during the day, like because I'll flip between people that I really like because they're all streaming at the same time, and
Right.
there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But the one thing you have to lean into, and I think that it's the one thing that I think is the most important aspect of anything, whether it's YouTube or Twitch or however you put content out there, like it's the thing that's going to separate you from that guy over there is your personality and what you lean into. So you got to lean hard into your personality and talk about the things that you want to talk about and narrate things the way you want to narrate things. Give people silly nicknames, just the stuff that's running through your head. That's what's going to separate you from those folks over there. And what usually the reason why someone has whether they're I mean some people might just be super established, and so there is that aspect of Twitch where it's like, well, I want to watch this game and this person's at the top of the list, so I'm going to watch them. There's just that's always going to be there. But when you
Mhm.
get down into like the middle and to the bottom of the list, it's very much so personality based. Like I've tuned into several streams when I was a DVD streamer and even as a hunt streamer. I've tuned into several streams where I'm just kind of like, well, nothing's going on here. Like I can appreciate what this person's doing. I know what's going on, but either maybe they're not talking, or maybe they're talking about something that I can't relate to, or maybe it's just not my style of streamer, and that's okay. You have to be okay with that. But the thing you have to lean into is your personality. You didn't make the game. You didn't, you can either play the game or not play the game, and what's going to separate you is that personality, and that's what you have to lean hard on.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that one.
Yeah, yeah. So 6 years, man, 6 years. That's huge. I am. That's incredible, actually.
I
You
can't believe it, but yeah.
you pumped like so. What are you going to be doing Saturday for the 6 year anniversary?
it's it's gonna be, I'm gonna do like a I normally don't do like subathons or anything like that, but I only do this like for special occasions, whether it's like a anniversary or like a charity event that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
But we're doing a 12 or well, I'm doing a potential 24-hour on Saturday, starting at like at 6 p.m. and which the ultimate goal that I have, if it gets reached, is I had to do a full drag cosplay. Meaning, like I was saying, I'm gonna get in. I'll have to get a new wig.
Mm-hmm.
I had to have makeup. I had to have fake press on nails. I had to get a dress. I had to, if I can find them, fishnet stockings and high heels.
Oh man, that sounds very sexy for the internet.
It, yeah, I don't know. It's so interesting. Like, so it's funny how like I'll mention that and people are like, "Really, you're gonna do that?" It's like, hey, you know what? This is why I tell people again before. If you're not ready to do stuff like this, then or you're not ready to see this, then it probably won't be a stream. Probably a stream you don't want to watch. But and I'll tell people like, who actually wants to see this? And then everyone's like raising their hand, like, of course, you want to see me in a drag cosplay.
Yeah.
Hey, it's fine. But it's funny how like I also have to do like a because I had another achievement. I had to do a French maid cosplay, so I had to get the whole French maid outfit and the little feather duster, little bonnet. I'm just like, oh god. I'm
Tw-
like, but
24
again, it
hours,
goes
man.
back to the fact that that's the type of content you would expect from me, and you know, and I'm not. Am I ashamed of it? Well, thank God my family doesn't watch me, so because that would have been a whole nother issue. But like, I'm not afraid to do that kind of stuff, and that's the thing that I think a lot of quite a few people enjoy that. I'm not afraid to do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
So that's how we're gonna be celebrating that. Plus, I have a whole case of Carolina Reaper bean boozled beans. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's gonna
that's gonna
be
be.
that's gonna be intense.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take at least a container of Tums before it. So
That's
I'm gonna
incredible.
I'm gonna I'm gonna actually may have like a UV bag, diluted of Tums like going directly to my bloodstream.
Oh,
Ready
yeah.
for
You
that.
better, yeah. With a stream like that, you have to like get prepared, right? Especially if it has the potential of going 24 hours. Like you have to have drinks standing by, plenty of water, food to grab and stuff like that. You have to be sober. I have yet to. I think the longest I've gone, I've done like a 10-hour stream, but like that's just because I wasn't doing it out of a goal. Like a 24-hour stream sounds so ambitious. Like I know you've done them before. It's you have to prep a lot, don't you?
It Yeah, I would say yeah, definitely, especially when I did a 48 hour, which I'll never ever do again in my
Oh
life.
God.
That was I think that was like a personal goal for me because I've seen people do it. It's like, can I do 48 hours straight? Which I did. Without the, I mean, not the fact that did I fall asleep 20 times during the stream? Yeah, but I made it through. So well, what's funny was that even after that, I stayed up another 8 hours to fix my sleep schedule. So but I can't. That was 2 years when I did a 2 year anniversary.
Oh
I
my
did a 48
goodness.
hour. I, it's tough for me to do a 12 hour nowadays. I can't. I can like just doing a 24 hours is
That's
it's
that's quite a
it's ungodly.
task.
Like I'm getting old. I can't do this type of stuff anymore, man. It's just uh,
Yeah.
but I do it for the community, you know, and
S-
to prove myself that I can still do it.
yeah. Yeah, well just be careful. I know you. I know you'll be prepped for it. I think it'll go great. I think it'll be out of the park for sure. One thing we do before we get out of every podcast, I ask the person I'm talking to, what they might want to suggest that they've been watching lately, or be it a movie or a TV show or a book they're reading. Do you have anything you want to suggest to the audience out there?
Well, it's funny. I've been binge watching like The Big Bang Theory because it's been a show I've watched when I was growing up, but never really finished it
Hmm.
because I always watched it with my sister, and we didn't we I think we ended at like season 9 out of 12. So I've been kind of binge watching that. Honestly, on a Netflix standpoint, I've been watching a lot. I don't know about it's weird. I watch a lot of documentaries on Netflix,
Hmm.
and it's weird how I watch a lot. It's really weird for me. I don't know. It just seems weird for me. I watch a lot of like the m- the murder and like the prison, like the sentencing. Like like I was the last one I saw was the what the heck is his name? He was like a rich philanthropist, but he was involved in like uh like he was like involved with child like prostitution
Hmm.
like in Florida. Jeffrey
Epstein.
what?
Epstein.
Yeah, Epstein.
Okay.
Like I've heard his name before, but
Yeah.
then like they had his documentary on Netflix. Like, oh, let me go check at this. So I've been watching that. I mean, the last one I was watching was the Cecil Hotel documentary on Netflix. That's been really intriguing.
Yeah.
Um, and it's see the thing for me, I don't really watch IRL TV. I don't like watch like many shows. I just like watching. If I watch like a show, it's like on Netflix, and I've been watching like a lot of like the documentaries on on Netflix. I'm really hoping that Stranger Things comes in soon
I think
because I
it's
need to.
supposed to. I think it's supposed to be there fairly quick. I know they've been trying to film 2 seasons at once because obviously the kids are getting older. They're trying to wrap everything up, um, and so I think they're doing the whole Lord of the Rings thing right now, where they're recording the next 2 seasons at the same time, and I think they're getting close to wrapping on it. Hopefully, um, I'm really looking forward to another season of that. But I feel you on the documentary thing. And me and the wife, she's a huge fan of true crime. She listens to a lot of
Mhm.
true crime podcasts and stuff like that. So a lot of what we watch, I mean, we have a bunch of TV shows and movies that we watch. But I mean, I'm with you. It's not usually live TV. It's usually whatever's available on Netflix or Hulu or Prime. Um, but my favorite one I think that's come out recently was the Night Stalker a
I heard
documentary
of that.
series.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix and it's done really really well, and it's about Richard Ramirez. It's good. Also there is we watched the Murder Amongst Mormons documentary.
I have that on my list to watch.
It's fascinating. It really there's you can
Is
really
it am I gonna be weirded out when I watch it or
I don't think so. I don't. It's
no?
just
Okay.
interesting because it didn't have anything to do with what I thought it was going to be about, and it was just like incredible to figure out. Oh, as everything just kind of unfolded, you're like, wow, this goes deeper than what they lead you to believe in the trailer, kind of thing. Like it's just interesting to see how I mean, a good documentary filmmaker can make just about any subject interesting as long as they find the right, video to go with it. They interview the right people. They have the right facts and stuff like to put in front of you. I love documentaries in general, but in particular, true crime documentaries are amazing. Um, One thing we've gone back and been watching. I never watched it when it was on TV, but they put the series on Prime. If you have Prime, it's available on their video service. It's called I Survived, um, and
Mhm.
it's just people telling their stories about like their near death experiences and you know weird situations they were put in where they miraculously survived. And it's
Oh,
just
really? Okay.
yeah, it's so cool because it's just them. It's they're telling three stories at the same time per episode. It's like about
Okay.
30-45 minutes long, and so they'll tell a part of this guy's story, then they'll tell a part of this girl's story, and then another person's story, and they'll just kind of be jumping in between these three stories, and it fills up the 45 minutes or whatever. But it's always these situations where you're like, how did this person get out of this? And there's like something like crazy, like 5 or 6 seasons on Prime right now. So it's like true crime, but it's like storytelling at the same time. Um,
I definitely
well,
got that's definitely something I'm intrigued to watch because I like to watch like I mean I like to watch the IRL, like the real life, like this is like real life like stuff that happened,
Hmm.
and it's just going back into like especially going back to like history and explaining how like the person's history,
Hmm.
like how they grew up, and then what they did to get to in the bad like this bad situation they're in.
Yeah.
And I just like it goes back to my whole weird thing, but it's like it just it pulls me in, and it just like I'll like I remember when I was watching the Jeffrey Epstein thing. I watched that whole straight thing straight. I'm like, what happened? You know, like what happened next? And what happened next?
Yeah.
So that's definitely something I want to watch now.
Do you have HBO Max?
No.
Okay. If you can find someone to give you a log at HBO Max, and let me know. There's some really good stuff on there too. Like just some of their original content of their documentary series. There's just some really, really cool stuff there. But man, it's like something like Netflix or even Prime, like it's like a
There's
bottomless bucket.
so much to watch.
And you're never gonna be
Like
able to watch it all.
no, and that's the thing. Like people are like I it's so funny. I make fun of people who like before is like, well, I'm just gonna go binge watch Netflix. Like, okay. And then I go into Netflix and I'm like, wow, this looks interesting. Wow, this looks interesting. Well, I haven't seen that movie in like years. Like
Yeah.
yesterday, I swear to God, like I went to Netflix, I saw the Little Rascals, the latest version.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I haven't seen that since I was like in high school. I'm like, add that to the list. The nostalgia you get from like those movies, like it's so weird. It's like and then you figure like one's on Netflix. See, that's the thing too. I hate it's like one's on Netflix, one's on Amazon Prime, and then
Yeah.
one's on Hulu, and then one's on like I had to buy every subscription service known to mankind to watch everything I want.
Yeah, you have to
Like there's
chase them down.
I'm gonna be honest with like I did a free trial for like on with I think it was Amazon with Showtime because there was this one movie I wanted to watch that was only available on Showtime subscription. I'm like, I can't even buy it. I can't download it. I was like, I can't. It's not on Netflix. I was like, it's only on here. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, sign for free trial subscription so I can watch this stupid movie. And I watch it like, okay, I'm done.
Cancel it.
But it's like,
Cancel it. Get out of there.
yeah, but it's like it's weird how nowadays that people are like relying on like subscriptions for like their channel for their shows. Like there's so many of them.
There's so many, but like it's also a beautiful time, right? Like it's a great problem to have, especially, when you're thinking about a pandemic and like you got more time to fill because you can't really go out and do stuff. It's been really nice to have those options, and I'm glad we've got them because man, you can only
Well,
watch.
you're gonna be needing them. You're gonna be needing them soon if with the
Oh yeah.
with a little one coming.
I
You need to
know.
stuff to watch.
I know, man. As of this recording, it's Monday, April 19th. She is due on Wednesday, April 21st. So we are less than 2 days away.
Well, I mean, listen, it's a beautiful time.
It is.
You say this is your first one.
First kid.
This is it's gonna be great, man. I mean, I can't say much because I don't I don't have kids, but I have two sisters that have kids, and just it's amazing how like my one niece, she's now like 10. I remember when she was first born, like holding her in my arms was such an amazing feeling, and then now seeing her all growing up and being a almost a teenager. It's just
Mind blowing.
oh man, just the memories you can cherish,
Yeah.
as much as you can.
I feel good, but I know that I'm gonna be like when it all happens, I'm gonna be like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
You're like,
So
okay, what do I do? What do I do? What do I how do I put a diaper? What do I need to change? Like I know you're crying. I got you. I got you. Come on, it's okay. It's okay.
it's gonna
No, I think you're ready for it. Just don't give it beer.
Yeah, no beer. No sour beers until
No
she's of
sours,
age,
nothing
right?
like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll save that for when I'm hanging out with Tech.
God, good times, man.
But yeah, if you want to check out Tech, go to twitch.tv/TechGuru808. Also at TechGuru808 on YouTube and Twitter. Give him a follow. Go hang out with the guy. He's a lot of fun. Especially if you like what I'm doing, you're gonna love what he's doing. Get in there, check it out. Tech thank you so much for being on the show, and we'll have to do this again, man. We'll absolutely have to do this
Definitely,
again.
man. I really do appreciate it. I'm gonna tell you right now. You're my first podcast.
Really?
You broke my podcast. Cherry.
Cherry. I broke the cherry. That's great. It's good. It's
Yeah, I
good.
had to say cherry. We can't say the other thing. But
Well, I think it's a lot of fun, and I'm glad you could be on. And if I can answer any questions for you, I know you're considering jumping in and trying it out, maybe. And just if you do, just let me know. We'll do some pointers, and I'll help you out.
definitely, hopefully, if you bring this back upon again, we should definitely do it again.
Absolutely, I'll definitely do that. Let me. I'll wrap this up. I'll talk to you in just a second.
All right.
All right, guys, you can check out the show on twitch.tv/Lopez Radio if you want to see my stuff, at Lopez Radio on all social media, and I'll put links to tech stuff in the description of the podcast. We'll see you guys next time. I'll probably have a kid by then. See ya.